The Sporting Chance podcast is brought to you by the King of Tight, Richard Moats at midnightfalconry.com. Go see Richard for the tightest of tight falconry gear.
Definitely don't forget to go see our boy Seth Roy at northmountaingoshawk.com for your next hunting partner this spring.
And also mountainstatefalconrysupply.com. Go see our friend Heather McNeamer for high-quality falconry gear based on the East Coast. So if you need your falconry gear yesterday, drop an order in at mountainstatefalconrysupply.com.
And Heather's a friend of the people. I was just had the opportunity to be up at the New York Falconry Meet and checking out all the raffle items. But one of the most beautiful setups that I saw while we were there was Mountain State Falconry equipment, and she donated a bunch of stuff to be raffled off and made a lot of people happy that day.
She's the best. And let us not forget A Journey with Red Tails by author Bob Glass. Bob is an authority on the subject with decades of experience in falconry. The book is beautiful. It's got to be one of the best looking falconry books I've ever laid my hands on. Check it out at ajourneywithredtails.com. And last but not least, sportingchancepod.com.
Listen, guys, our website is live. We got t-shirts and stickers. Just do me a favor. It's just a very simple favor. If you're enjoying the show, we drop every Monday, give you entertainment and information. If you're having fun and you're enjoying everything that we're doing, just buy a shirt. Not that hard. Go right on. Shipping is quick. Nice shirt, nice merch to wear, a couple stickers to throw on the hawk box. Real simple.
All right, welcome everyone to the Sporting Chance podcast. I'm Aaron Kincaid.
And I'm Casey Everett.
And today we are joined by Nathan Hyland. Is that how we would say your name, Nathan? Is it Hyland or Hyland?
Hyland, yeah. H-Y-L.
Okay.
Do you ever think about...
I'll respond to anything, so knock yourself out.
Okay, and in that case, can we call you Highlander? Sounds cooler. The Highlander.
Are you familiar with the film? No?
That is frozen.
I've been called worse.
Oh, okay. You froze for a second there.
No.
All right. So for people who don't know who you are, why don't you just give us a little brief rundown of who you are, what you do, what you fly, and then we'll get into this.
Yeah, I'm a falconer up in central Ontario. I started flying birds 12 years ago. 12 years ago now. Flown a handful of Harris Hawks, a couple of red tails, currently flying old Goshawk and GP Peregrine, or like your Peregrine hybrid. And then, just trapped a new red tail for a rabbit and squirrel hawking this winter.
Nice.
Very nice.
So this is a question that I've gotten multiple times. How do you manage your time with flying all those birds? Because you are flying all of them, and I can clearly see that you're successful with all of them. So how do you, what does your week look like?
Yeah, I generally, I've never flown more than two at a time. Is that true? Yeah. In an ideal world, I'd only fly one bird, but
right.
The reality is if you're hawking as much as I do, things happen, and there's nothing worse than getting stuck birdless. So I try and have a team to rotate. I'm lucky because I got into falconry when I was 12 years old. I basically built my life around it. So for work, I'm an arborist. I run a tree company, so it's seasonal work. So in the fall, I can generally structure my days the way I want to structure them. So I can usually get off work by 2:30, 3 o'clock, and typically hunt evenings all winter. So most of my hunts are the last 45 minutes of light. I'll try and get out and squeeze in a quick hunt every evening. So I usually fly 5 or 6 days a week through the winter.
Dude, that's awesome. Yeah, I definitely am on the same page with you. And I always tell people, like, if you want to fly a lot, really the only way to do it is to kind of get a job where you can pick your own schedule, basically, or have some control over it.
Yeah, well, and the tree work's great because you can bust your ass all summer, put in your 14-hour days, in June and July, and then when the fall hits, I mean, even the fall's not too bad because it's still light till like 8 o'clock, so you can still work till 5 and then fly after. But then once the time change hits, I'll try and get off it, 2 or 3 every day to hunt after, and that's where having good local fields becomes worth their weight in gold.
Oh yeah, they really are. Yeah, I find you probably do the same thing, but what I do is during the fall when I first get started, and when it's still light, it stays light for a longer period of time before that time change, I try to go to my further spots and hit those so that I know when the time change, I go to my close spots, my little honey holes that are like 10 minutes away, 15 minutes away, to save them for...
Yeah, and I find it's... Yeah, I'll do that on weekends. So like if I go to weekend or if I'm taking the day off and I have time to drive, I'll always drive and hit like my outer radius. And save those core spots for like when you need that close field. Because I find like for us, I don't know, we're similar in terms of East Coast, but I'm a fair bit north of you guys. Like our like the fields you fly in September are completely different than the fields you're hitting come snowfall. Like the rabbit landscape completely changes with the first snowfall. So like I have specific fields that are good early season, and then once the frost hits, the snow hits, the cover gets knocked down. There's a lot of those spots that are good early season that are empty once the snow's there, and and spots that are just hellaciously thick too early.
Why are they empty?
Because the cover's all flat. It's like
no, I could explain it, but I'll let Nathan explain.
I would leave one or two.
You got it.
If you've got like a standing goldenrod field, you go in there in September, or even like just a field of standing tall grass, and there's like a subdivision beside it. The rabbits will live in the subdivisions under the decks, and the garden sheds and everything else, but they'll come out and they'll feed in the grassy field. So early season, you go in there in the evening and they'll all be out in the, relatively open stuff. But then once the frost and snow hits, like that open field is just a blanket of snow. And so all the rabbits are in the subdivision under people's decks. Like they're not, like they're still there. They're just not in the hawkable part of the area.
What do you mean? Plenty of people hawk rabbits in people's yards.
You got to go where the game is.
If I said I'd never killed a rabbit in a backyard before, but we're trying to.
Yeah. No, for me, you explained it very well. For me, it's different because I have spots, and it's probably the same for you, that will hold rabbits, right? And it will hold rabbits for a longer period of time. But like you said, as soon as that snow comes and knocks all that cover down, and then the snow melts off or whatever, now that cover is not suitable anymore for the rabbits to feel safe in, and they won't even go anymore. So they just go to a different spot. So now like that little spot that I could catch maybe 1 or 2 rabbits in, now it's just like you said, just flat, nothing in there. No way I'm going to, there's no rabbits. They just move to another location. So it's a blessing. It's a blessing and a curse. Especially
especially if you're flying a Goshawk, it's great because if you got like a field like that with like 2 or 3 brush piles in it, it's like perfect because like they'll all push into the brush piles, and then when they come out of the brush pile, they're wide open. So like once the snowfall hits, like the rabbit hawking gets so much better.
Yes.
But like I do a lot of scouting. I have a lot of fields, and I'll even break them up. I've got like the rainy day spots, the quick hunt spots, the local spots, the early season spots. Like depending on what you're dealing with, having more fields to be able to rotate in and hit the spot that's kind of suited to your current conditions, I find makes things way better.
Yeah. How are you? I know you said you do a lot of scouting. So what are you looking for when you're going to find spots? Just purely cover, or are you going in and setting your dog loose to make to really see if there's game in there?
Yeah, I'm lazy. I actually do most of it over Google Maps. Okay. So I'll just sit on my phone with the Google satellite, and I feel you guys talk similar to us, like a lot of kind of industrial spots. I like you zoom in on Google and just kind of pan across an industrial area and just pick out spots that look good. And typically, if there's good cover, there'll be rabbits. You can actually, with practice, tell pretty close what the cover's like just from the satellite image.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I'll spend, especially if I'm going to be in a new area, I'll just like come over, with Google, pick out 3 or 4 spots, and then just go through, cruise through, look at them. I mean, if the snow's down, it's super easy. Just look for tracks. But even then, I mean, if you walk into a field, even in August, if there's rabbits there, you'll still see trails. You'll see last year's chews. There'll be sign around. And yeah, I don't tend to pre-scout that heavily anymore. Like if I'm hitting a new area, I'll check on Google, but then I'll just go hawk. Like I'll just go hawk the spot, and if I go in and it's no good, I'll just leave. You usually tell within 10 minutes into the field if it's worth hunting or not.
Yeah.
Isn't it weird when you find a beautiful spot and you go there and there's just nothing there? It's like everything. It checks all the boxes. The right vegetation, right cover, everything's perfect, but there's just nothing there.
Yeah, I've been there.
And it's weird how regional it can be. Like I found the spots down south of me. I hunt along the Lake Ontario shoreline. They're generally good because like that lake effect warming, they get a lot less snow down there. And so like the heavy snow loads really suppress the rabbit numbers. But I mean, I'll have a foot of snow here and I'll drive an hour south. And once you get within 20 kilometers of the lakeshore, there'll be green grass. Just because it's a few degrees warmer. And so just, what snow is here, rain's there.
Right.
I found last season, it was super hit and miss. Like I'd hit a spot, usually kind of, so, and I'd flush 20 rabbits. And then I go just down the road and hit another spot, it'd be empty. Like they were real, like it was like hit and miss, like from spot to spot within like usually kind of geographic, like this geographic area has a boom, and then like certain parts of the province will have better numbers year to year, just as they cycle. But like it was patchy field to field, which is weird.
Yeah, I've seen that. I don't know what it is. It's like maybe it's like predator numbers. There's just one little thing missing from what they need, and it's just not there, and they just don't live there for whatever reason. But yeah, it's interesting how you'll go from one spot, rabbits everywhere, crawling everywhere, and then spot looks very similar, close by, nothing in there, and then go on the other side of it, and there's rabbits in there. It's so weird. Just like
I've been to fields before where I'll kick up 10 rabbits, no problem, and then come back the next weekend and you see nothing.
That's why I always like to have multiple quarry options. Because it's actually a piece of advice I got from Doug Wilson, one of the old guys years ago. He's saying all the birds he always flies at least 2 quarries. So for him, flying goshawks, he'd fly rabbits, and then he would car hawk crows. Or if he's flying a red tail, he'd fly rabbits and squirrels. And so like for me flying the goshawk, I'll fly rabbits and ducks. But I find I never like to be stuck to a single quarry because numbers fluctuate. You have good years, you have bad years. If you're only flying one thing and the numbers are down, you're stuck.
Right.
Unless it's squirrels. Seems like squirrels never have a bad year.
Yeah, I always see squirrels. I mean, I've seen like less squirrels certain years, but like I always see squirrels. I feel like they're never not there.
If I get off work and I only have 30 minutes to hunt, I've learned my lesson. I go after squirrels because I'm gonna get at least a slip in 30 minutes. With rabbits, that's not a guarantee for me.
Yeah, but are pretty consistent. They're pretty steady.
So Nathan, is it fair to say that you don't limit yourself? Well, first of all, you're flying a long wing and you're flying a short wing and a buteo. I want to get into goshawks, Aaron. What do you think?
Well, this is the goshawk circle jerk, so let's do it.
Yeah. So you fly, so you mentioned you fly you said an old goss. What does that mean?
Yeah. So I got her, never buy secondhand birds, but I bought a secondhand bird.
Okay.
I mean, everything about the setup I bought her off of screamed terrible idea. Like when usually nobody sells a bird that's nobody sells a good bird. So unless you know the history, the person flying it.
Right.
Buying secondhand birds almost never works out. Didn't know the guy. Not a good falconer. She was an old spent breeding bird.
Let's shout him out.
You didn't.
Who was the falconer?
Yeah.
You wouldn't know him.
No, I'm just kidding.
Just a piece of shit.
Yeah, he's an old guy out by Hastings here. He doesn't really do anything anymore. Yeah, he was
even better.
wannabe breeder that
call him
never
out.
bred anything. But anyways, yeah. So I picked her up. It was the middle of the season.
How old? Sorry.
I bought her at 14 years old.
Oh my goodness.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the plan was I was going to fly her for a few months, and then my buddy Matt had a donating male. So the plan was breed them, take a baby out of her, and then fly the baby.
Right.
But then she never bred, and she was a good game hawk. I just kept flying her, and yeah, she's in her 20th season now.
Holy crap!
And yeah, I pulled her out early September because I was gonna take her to Saskatchewan with me, and yeah, she caught a rabbit her last hunt, and then the following day I was doing jump ups with her, and she had a stroke. So I'm not flying her at the moment. She's recovered. She's free lofted now and able to perch and feed herself and get around. So she might be done. I'm going to pull her back out. I've started dropping her weight and see if she can still fly and hunt. But I mean, yeah, her last season, I haven't really pushed her hard the last couple seasons. But yeah, she still caught 80 or so last year.
That's
so. I mean, she still gets it done.
Yeah, yeah. I remember my grandma had a stroke, and I remember she would drool. Still a little traumatized from that, but God rest her soul.
Like I was doing jump up, and yeah, she did 3 or 4 reps, and then hit the ground and just heeled over, went stiff legs, wings out, lost all sense of balance, and basically just heeled over.
Oh my God!
And they spent,
how do you know
the whole weekend?
How do you know it was a stroke?
I don't. I'm guessing. I mean, it was something acute. Either it was a stroke or an aneurysm or one of the like.
Okay,
it was some kind of acute attack that hit her.
Okay,
like, she was fine, and then healed over. Like it was all the same symptoms as like West Nile, but like West Nile doesn't hit in minutes.
Right. Interesting. Oh, okay. Yeah. So yeah, that makes sense then. Yeah. So it probably wasn't it was something to do with the brain. That sucked. But I mean, 20 years, man, and like from your videos, we're gonna get into your videos, but like you would never. I didn't even know that bird was that old. That bird's just like kicking ass. I didn't even realize that it was that old.
Yeah, the main thing I've noticed in terms of age is like her off the mark speed is the same as it was before. The main loss is stamina.
Okay.
And so like, even in the last season or two, like if we're working a rabbit and we flush it and she misses, and we reflush it and she misses, if I flush it the third time, she'll be gassed. She won't be able to chase it. So like I'll stop the hunt, stop the dogs, even if we know where the rabbit is. Like I'll wait 5 minutes, then send the dogs in to reflush, and at that point she'll be ready to put the second effort in.
Right.
Yeah, she did the stamina just isn't there anymore. So my hope is this year, if she's still flyable, I'll fly her with the red tail. I'll just fly her 2 or 3 days a week. Just short hunts and see what she can do. My hope is to fly her till she dies. So
right. How would you like her to die? When and if she dies?
Honestly, in the field, if possible. Like even talking to her last year, like I'm worried about avian influenza. But I was kind of thinking if she just died of avian influenza, would it be the worst? Like,
right.
Like the worst case scenario, I don't want to see her just waste away in a chamber somewhere.
Correct. Yeah.
So like,
how about on a power pole in front of a bunch of people at a field meet?
Well, I've done that twice already. So
yeah, I was just gonna say, Nathan, if you want to lose the bird in the field, just come hawk it with me. I'll take you to some spots. I know some great spots for that. A lot of windows, electric poles. Yeah, I'll take you somewhere great. We'll send her off nice. We'll catch a rabbit, put her back up for another, and just away she'll go, getting cooked.
You see that brush collar beside the barbed wire fence?
Yeah. Or just like the chain. Dude, I was hawking a spot today, and like, it's like, how do you not hawk it? There's rabbits everywhere. It's everywhere. But at one section, there's like a solar field, like a solar, and there's like, the black chain link fence going around it. And I'm like, so what am I supposed to do? Not hawk this entire field because there's one section of chain link fence? Like, is that wrong of me to not hawk that spot? And every time my bird took a flight, I kind of held my breath, but there's freaking like 50 rabbits in there. Like, what, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not just going to I'm going to drive by it. It's 5 minutes away from my house. Like, I don't know. I don't know what the right thing to do is, bro. I've lost birds in the field too. I don't know.
Yeah, she's pretty good. She's pretty fence savvy. Like hunting industrial areas here, so it's like chain link fences everywhere.
Right.
And yeah, like short. Like I mean, if she's in the act of binding to a rabbit, then she's going in regardless. But if a rabbit's got her beat and she's coming in on a fence, she'll flare up and go over the fence. I've seen her do it a bunch of times. Like she knows they're solid, which doesn't to say she won't still hit one, but she's pretty. I mean, she's hit enough of them. She's figured it out.
Yeah, I know.
The one that really sketches me is windows.
Oh yeah, it's like, dude, windows are like they're like an attractant, like a light for bugs. Windows are like an attractant for birds of prey, specifically goshawk. For some, they see a window and they just, what is that? And they just fly right into it full speed. I don't know why.
I've had 2 bad window hits with her.
Yeah,
she had one years ago. I was hunting down by a Coburg, and there's a great big overgrown swath of development land that got cleared and never developed. And so we park at the end of this little dead end road, and then there's like a little business with a garden shed in behind it, and like so we park beside it, and then it's just pushing back into the big open field. And so of course, park, get out, walk in, the dogs flush a rabbit 20 seconds in, and so it flushes down towards the yard, and so it's running through the cover. So of course she's flying it, and so she swings out into the open ground in the backyard to kind of swing around and cut the rabbit off and hit it. Swings out into the open yard, disappears around the corner, and I just hear glass shatter. That's going, oh my God. I can run around, look over, back window of the shed's blown out, look through the window, there's my goshawk just laying on the floor of the shed, surrounded by shattered glass, laying there, wings out. Picked her up, put her on the ground. She kind of roused and revived within a minute or two. I had to go knock on the door and explain. I just broke your back window with my god. You broke it doing what? It's just a goshawk. They were good. They were cool about it.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous. That's exactly how my bird died, just like that. Flew into chasing a rabbit. It went under, like, it wasn't a shed. It was like I told the story a million times, but yeah, it didn't break. It was like industrial grade, commercial glass, and she smashed it and bounced off like 5 feet into a pallet and just like fell down into the pallet. Like she literally, she did that. It was like 6 feet away from the window, and she smashed it and bounced all the way back. Broken neck. Yeah, man. So at least the glass was shitty and it broke. Thank God.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, she hit a door, like commercial business door, in our second season flying her, and knocked herself out again. Luckily, didn't. I mean, that bird has dodged death at least 8 or 9 times at this point. I mean, you fly a bird that much, it's catch up with it at some point.
Spots look totally different when you're flying a goshawk. You get there and you start to see all the wires and the windows and the fences and all
the transformers.
Yeah. We've got a lot of industrial spots here. We have silt fences, so it's like foot or two off the ground of wire, and initially there's going to be like a piece of like black woven textile on it to keep like dirt from like washing through it.
Oh yeah, I know those.
Yeah, and then over time the fabric will kind of fall off, so then it's just like a 2 foot tall, like grid wire fence that just runs the perimeter of where you're hawking. It's like, of course, where's a rabbit going to run?
Yeah. They're smart. So I talked to Connor, because we talked about Connor a couple times. You have one of his cameras, right?
Yeah, I bought his little Canon off him. Yeah,
bro. I heard your episode with Mounier, and when you said, "Oh, I bought his extra camera," I thought to myself, I said, "Dude, I bought one of his extra cameras." I said, "How many extra cameras does this guy have?" Dude, he's just buying them off of Craigslist, and he's just like, "It's my extra, Raptor Addicts camera."
That's financing falconry.
Yeah, because I bought one from him. What, Aaron?
He's flipping cameras,
dude. The guy's flipping cameras, and he's just putting like the Raptor Addicts little sticker on it or whatever, and just selling it for a profit.
What the hell?
Yeah, no, the camera's great though, and it was a good deal regardless. But he does exercises. He's giving me a hard time about coming on the show. He's a friend of mine, but he's giving me a hard time about coming on the show. A couple guys that should come on the show are giving me a hard time about coming on the show, but it's fine. I'm just going to talk about them.
Nathan, listen to this. The dude bought a dog from me, right? I drove to an airport like an hour and a half away to ship the dog to him, right? So And he's like, he gets a female dog, which everybody wants that. He gets female dog from me. I drive way out of my way to get it shipped to him. He gets it out there. Casey's good friends with him and he won't come on the show. Can you imagine that?
It's ridiculous. Yeah, it's crazy. But it's not because of like any arrogance or anything. He just it's not his thing. So, and that's fine. But
whoa.
The reason why I bring that up is because he will do little exercises with his goshawks to get them fence savvy. So he'll stand nice and close to a fence and he'll chuck a carcass, or I believe this is how, well, if you would come on the show, he could explain it better, but I'm just going to say it how I remember.
Yeah, it'd be great.
Yeah. And he takes the young bird, like, August, whatever. Bird's not quite muscled up yet, not going to kill itself. He stands maybe 3 feet away from the fence on his knees, throws the carcass over the fence, lets the bird fly from like only 3 feet away into the fence, smack the fence, and then the bird's just going crazy trying to get through the fence until it figures out to just fly up and over and grab the carcass and get a crop. And he says he does that a couple times to the point where he'll throw the carcass over the fence, it lands on the ground, and the bird just flies up and over the fence. And he thinks that helps them to really get over the fence thing. And I mean, I feel like a couple sessions of that before you start hawking a new young imprint or even a chamber bird, that's a very small investment to possibly protect your bird from killing itself.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, and reality is that they're closing on a rabbit and the rabbit's right there in front of them. Like they're going in on that rabbit, fence, no fence, put a concrete wall up. They're committing.
Yeah.
It's not going to matter. But it's like when, that they're like, Aaron's talking about, if they see that rabbit 300 yards away and they take off across that field, well, if they know the fence is solid, they'll just pop over it.
Right.
But if they don't think it's solid, they'll just try and fly through it, which is when they kill them. So yeah, it's not a perfect solution, but yeah, it definitely sounds like a good idea.
Yeah, it's better than just letting them learn it on their own and hoping that they don't
exactly
disform themselves by learning a lesson or two.
Yeah.
So that's great. So but I want to get into your hawking, dude, because I'm a huge fan of your videos. Have you been posting lately? I feel like I haven't seen too much of your stuff lately. A little bit, right?
I haven't posted much. I post pretty sporadically. It kind of depends on when I have time to sit down and do it.
Right.
And more, I've just been, people get bored of flying, I'm just flying the Falcon right now. So bird goes up, bird comes down, duck goes down.
Yeah.
I don't really have anything new to post.
Right.
So I'm going to put together, my duck season's probably wrapping up here in the next week or two. And then I might put together, kind of like a duck season compilation and throw it up. But yeah, the last one I posted was my Saskatchewan trip.
Are you worried at all about avian influenza?
Yet, for like the first season it hit, where we were all freaking out. I was actually in Saskatchewan. I picked a spot specifically for the duck hawking. So drove 27 hours, got in, like ducks, like you can't imagine. Like you could drive for 10 minutes and drive by 8 ponds with 30 ducks on them. Like just ducks. Like the problem was trying to find a pond that was isolated enough that you could fly it without your bird flying. Like just ducks everywhere. Like I'm just going, it's gonna be so good. And, like we'd heard about it the last year, but it died down. Hadn't really heard anything else about it. So thought, okay, it should be fine. And then literally the second day I'm out there, local falconer's bird dies of avian influenza.
Jeez.
So like, yeah, we all started freaking out for obvious reasons. And yes, I didn't fly. And then I started hearing numbers coming out from trapping projects in the States where they're testing teal and finding like 80% of them are carrying virus. So yeah, didn't fly ducks at all that season. Only flew upland. But yeah, based on
what kind of upland?
Partridge in Saskatchewan. I just had like the 3 weeks there and then came back and put them up early.
When you say
you guys have pheasant there?
Yeah, they had pheasant. I've taken a few pheasant. I find pheasant with the long wing are my favorite quarry. They're great with the goshawk.
Yeah.
But yeah, with the falcon, I'd much rather fly partridge.
When you say partridge, you're saying Hungarian partridge?
Yeah, the Huns, yeah.
Okay.
Or they call like the red legs in the UK or whatever they are.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so the Hungarian partridge, yeah.
Huns like to do pheasant pheasant?
Hmm?
Do they restock Hungarian partridge like they do pheasant?
Not Saskatchewan. I don't even know if they stock pheasant. There might be one or two pheasant stocks in the province. I think most of the pheasants in Saskatchewan are either released ones that come up from the States or just local breeding populations. But you only get pheasants in the southern part of the province. Like farther north, you don't find many pheasants. But yeah, down towards the border, there's tons of them.
Nathan, could you just real quick for us and the listeners, can you just paint a picture? Because I think a lot of us know of Saskatchewan, and I know of Saskatchewan, and every time I think of it, I think of Argos and Jim Shockey and grizzly bears and moose. So when you're up there hawking, like, what is the like? Just describe the landscape, what we're looking at when you're up there.
Yeah, so I mean, northern Saskatchewan is boreal forest, but the whole southern half of the province is all prairie. So I'm trying to think about, like, it's basically due north of Montana, I think.
Okay.
So basically just continue that landscape north. So yeah, the areas we're in, like 95% of it is farmed agriculture. So it's all row crop, mostly wheat, canola, bit of lentils. They rotate through their crop yield, but yeah, wheat and canola are the two staples. And so, yeah, you're basically just these massive open agricultural fields, and the partridge will key in on like you can get the sloughs that they don't cut in the spring because they're too wet.
Okay.
So you get, like, these little patches of slough grass in the middle of these stubble fields, or you can get like cover down, like they'll sometimes plant windrows. So you get like the row of shrubs, and like they'll key into that cover, and they'll use it for their breeding, like their breeding cover. And then they just live in the wheat stubble. So once all the crop's down, you basically just have this open, endless areas of stubble to go and hawk in, and it's perfect.
And you're using a dog, I would assume.
Yeah, I mean, the partridge numbers are pretty high, and you can drive pretty much everywhere. So we're typically marking, or at least when I'm out, like, I have a dog, which is not, bird dog. She's a rabbit dog I use for birds. So I'll just go out and mark coveys from the car, and so I'll know where they are, put the bird up, and then she'll go in and locate and point and flush. But like, if I cast her off in the field to go find a covey, she doesn't know what we're doing.
What kind of dog is? Because you have two different dogs, right? You have a Jack Russell, right?
Yeah, and a small Munsterlander.
And what is it?
Small Munsterlander.
Munsterlander?
Yeah, it's a German versatile breed.
I've never heard of that. Aaron, have you heard of that?
Never heard of it? Oh yeah, no. I've heard of those.
No, I've never heard. Yeah, well, I'm not.
Yeah, they have small, and what do they call them? Large or just regular? They call them Munsterlanders and small Munsterlanders. That's hard to say.
The large Munsterlanders are actually completely unrelated breed. They just both came out of, like, Munster is a town in Germany. They just, like, Munster had a small breed of dogs they made and a large breed of dogs they made. And so the small dogs from Munster are small Munsterlanders, and the large stuff, but like they're completely unrelated. I actually talked to a couple guys in Saskatchewan with the large Munsterlanders.
They're
and
a versatile breed,
dogs.
Right?
So they're kind of like
versatile.
So they're like a Drothar kind of, where they can kill stuff, they can point stuff, they can flush stuff, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I mean, some of them are harder than others. If I had to compare mine, I would say more like a Brittany. Like, she'll point, she'll flush, she'll do water, she'll retrieve. She's a pretty soft dog.
Yeah.
All she really kills is squirrels and possums.
Yeah, possums they're not hard to kill. Possums.
No. And even she's funny. Like, she's such a soft mouth. She never catches rabbits, because she'll try and, like, she does that soft mouth dog thing where she'll try and pin them with her feet so she can pick them up, and the rabbits just squirt past her. But she'll catch squirrels, because squirrels can just, with her paws, she can just basically knock them over, and so she'll kind of bat them around in her paws until they're all discombobulated, and then she'll pick them up. But she won't crush them. She'll try and she's tried to soft mouth every single squirrel she's ever caught. And every single time she gets bit. Once she gets bit, she'll then kill the squirrel, but she won't kill it until she gets bit.
Oh, that's funny. That's a cool dog. Yeah, I'm not familiar with that breed. I'm gonna do a little research on that breed. That's cool. So
yeah, they're great.
Man, that's fascinating, man, because Saskatchewan, man, that's up there. So are you dealing with like snowstorms, like huge snow numbers? Like what, that's gotta be a
I
little.
usually go early. So typically I go like late September, early mid October.
Okay.
Like it's late enough that it's cooling off. The crop's all down. But especially if I'm going for like it's the things like their winter usually hits late October, November. So
Right.
in the past I've been going and I've wanted to fly ducks. And so I wanted to go early enough before things froze up. If I was going purely for upland, I would probably go later in the year. Like right now, it's -20 there, and they've got 6 inches of snow.
Jeez.
I got a couple of buddies out there, but yeah, like when I left, uh, it was below freezing, but not far below.
Okay.
Still no snow yet. I mean, the other thing too is the upland gets a lot harder as the year goes on.
I heard that about upland, that the colder, like the more the winter carries on, the birds get harder to catch. Like it sounds counterintuitive.
Well, it's the same as like rabbit hawking, right? Like if you're a rabbit hawking in September, half the rabbits you're catching are half grown.
Right.
Right. So you flush a covey of partridge in September, at least some of those birds are going to be young of the year. And so you're able to single out and knock down one of the young ones. So like when I'm flying in September, most of the partridge we catch, if you look, like they aren't even quite hard penned yet. Like they're the young of the year. And
Right.
so, the bird hits them, they drop pretty easy. They're not too hard to handle. Versus this time of year, they're all mature, they're all fully grown. Any weak ones have been weeded out already. So like what's left is same as hunting rabbits in January, right? Like you're not flushing any easy rabbits in January.
Right. I thought it was something different where it had to do with like their diet switches, and they have less water in their systems and they're able to fly more powerfully. And it wasn't just a matter of the experience that the bird had dealing with predators and like weeding out the dumb ones. It's more of like a physiological thing that changes with the upland birds.
Yeah, I've heard that with the sage grouse because they start eating snow. And
Right.
so in the early season, they'll flood a watering hole and they'll drink a lot of, like they need a lot of water. So they'll drink up a bunch of water in the morning and then they're carrying all that water weight so they don't fly as well.
Right.
Versus in the winter, they're just eating snow all day so that they never pick up that heavy water load because they're just basically grazing on snow. At least that's what I've never seen sage grouse. That's just what I've heard.
Okay. So yeah, maybe it's similar with the partridge.
Yeah.
Very cool, man. And so I got to touch on this because this is my favorite thing about you is you go like what you do, like a camping trip or something, right?
Yeah, so I've done a few different things when I go out. The first few times I went, there's the campground I stayed at, and so we have like a pop-up tent camper, and so I towed the camper out and stayed in it, which works great for the early season, but most of the campgrounds are shutting down, and it's getting cold in October. The last 2 years I've gone, there's just like a Airbnb I found. The guy just got like a little cabin he built on the side of his property, and so I can just rent the cabin. He has a cheaper rate come the fall because lots of people are up, and so I've just been renting the cabin there, which is great because I can stick a weathering yard out, I can perch the birds out. I'm not stuck in a hotel,
right?
But that's what I've done the last 2 years.
Okay,
because are there jackrabbits out there, Nathan?
Yeah, there's whitetails. The numbers were quite low when I first started going out. They've come up. I didn't see a ton this trip. My last trip I went out, we saw a ton of them. I'd say a ton. Like I'd flush 2 or 3 a day. This year I saw 4 or 5. Like if you go right into the city, like there's a ton of them like in town in Regina. Like there's this one little field beside the airport, and you can sit there and look at just like 8 jackrabbits just sitting in this little tiny field between this, behind the Tim Hortons and beside the condo buildings. There's like a little patch of grass. There's just like 9 jackrabbits just kind of casually grazing through this field.
What's the town called?
Yeah, outside. Huh? Yeah,
you said it was Vagina.
Regina, yeah.
That's what it's called, really?
Regina.
No, Regina.
Oh, okay.
Make sure you enunciate that when you get there. The problem with Saskatchewan, though, is she found this out the hard way. The way their trespassing laws were structured, you're not allowed to hunt within 500 meters of a dwelling unless you have permission on the land you're hunting.
500 meters? That's crazy.
Well, so it was structured. Saskatchewan trespassing laws used to be set up so that any rural property that wasn't posted was open hunting access. You could just drive out in any. So it was set up from an agricultural standpoint. If you want to hunt near the farmstead, you need permission. If you want to just go hunt an open field that's not posted, you knock yourself out. So that law is structured in a rural context, but it basically means you can't legally hunt in any of the city limits, which is
interesting.
Unless you have permission on the field. If you had permission on the field, you were in. But that's, easier said than done.
Right. Yeah. That's interesting. That's very interesting. I kind of like that though. So like, at least if you're like not within eyesight of any farmhouse or dwelling, you're good to go as long as no one else is hunting it.
Yeah. Unfortunately though, they changed it 3 years ago. So it's now basically the same as Ontario, where you need permission for any land. The reality is though, getting land access out there is so easy. The farms are so big, and the farmers are like, I was out there for a few weeks, and I probably had access to like literally thousands of acres.
Wow!
Because you talk to one farmer, and he might own like 50, like hundreds of thousands of acres per farmer. You can talk to like two guys and get permission on just a crazy amount of land. And I got permission on 95% of the spots I stopped at. Like they're all very pro hunting, very pro outdoors. Especially when you tell them you're not shooting, you're flying a falcon. Pretty much the only times I wouldn't get access was if people were moving cattle. I just didn't want disturbance.
Right.
But yeah, getting land access out there isn't hard at all.
Do you have a lot of big game hunters out there?
I haven't run into many. I ran into a couple of outfitters shooting waterfowl last year when I was out. But yeah, the areas I'm in are pretty. They're not close to any of the main cities, so there wasn't too much around.
That's good.
I have a question about since we're on the subject of laws. What does it take to get into falconry up there?
Well, so falconry here is all provincially regulated, so there's no carryover from province to province. So in Ontario, it is similar to most of the states. We have a sponsorship system, but no test. So basically, you need a small game license, and then you need a falconer to sign your application to sponsor you, and then you send the application in and get a license. But yeah, it's different in every province.
Well, the test here is bullshit in the United States.
Bro, I failed it twice. What are you talking about? Bullshit. Shit's hard, bro.
So what you're saying is I can't read out the incompetent falconers is what you're saying there.
I failed it once. I only failed it once.
He's a good falconer, but not a good scholar. How about that?
I was a little kid. I was like 12 years old or something. Whatever.
That's to my point. Is like the test here has nothing to do with your ability to be a falconer. Or at least the test in my state.
No, it's to say it's not. It's just like different. It does give you it gives you a little like some medical questions. Good. You got to memorize like different treatments for different diseases, and then like be able to tell the difference between certain birds.
Is the test there different in every state?
I think it is, right, Aaron? Yeah, it's definitely not universal because I remember.
Oh, it's totally different. Yeah.
Totally different. Yeah. The one in North Carolina is like, so if you're cooking moonshine and you got your red tail chasing squirrels, what do you not do? It's like get drunk.
If you're dating your cousin and there's a hound dog barking under the porch, but your red tail's too heavy.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you eat the barbecue or not?
Exactly.
Answer is all of the above.
Yeah, all of the above. And they're like, correct. Yeah. No, it's definitely right. It's definitely different because when I was studying when I was a kid, the only like information I could find was the California Hawking Club was the only one, and the New York Hawking Club. But they had like 6 questions in their pamphlet, which was garbage. The California Hawking Club had like a whole booklet, which is all practice questions you could find the answers to, and like it had the answer sheet in the back, and you could like read the questions and then mark your answer, and then go to the back of the book and find the correct answer and see how good you did. And I aced that thing. Like I had that thing memorized. And when I went to take the real test, it was like nothing was on. It was all completely different.
Yeah.
That's why I failed.
Yeah. Yeah. Because we're considering, like, I mean, we're always debating, ways to potentially improve the sponsorship system here. I mean, because it works, but like Ontario is one of the bigger provinces for falconry, and I feel like the sponsorship system works when it's small, but it doesn't scale very well.
Even with the test, you're going to get idiots in the sport.
For sure. But I mean, like I think almost the bigger issue than that is sponsors. Like, you get someone who's even like a genuinely interested apprentice, but right now it's just the luck of the draw who you get for a sponsor. And so, typically speaking, the people you don't want sponsoring are the people who are putting their names out there the keenest to sponsor. And so, to me, the goal of a test would more to be just to equip the apprentice. So that way, even if they have a bad sponsor, they at least know enough to, be competent to keep their bird alive.
Right. That's good. Yeah.
But yeah, like we're still trying to figure that out, how that could work.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like if your sponsor doesn't hawk squirrels, do you hawk squirrels?
Find a new one.
Yes or no. It's like, yes, you hawk squirrels. No, it's very interesting. Yeah, it's a huge problem everywhere, I guess. The regulation, I don't like regulation, but I feel like it's good just to keep people out. But these people nowadays, bro, they'll do anything to get a pet owl. They don't care. Like they'll literally do anything to get an owl.
They'll do anything but
honestly, because in Ontario, you don't, like, the Ministry of Natural Resources only governs Ontario's natural resources. So if it's non-native, they have no jurisdiction. So anybody can go buy a harrisock because it's a non-native bird.
But to hunt with it, you would need a falconry license.
Nope, it's just a small game. So if you have a small game, you can go buy a harrisock and kill stuff.
Wow.
Because it's not like, because in the States, if it's a non-native, I believe you can buy it. You just need depending on your state, you need a special permit to have like an exotic pet. But then to harvest game with it, you would need like a falconry license to actually hunt with it. I believe that's the rule.
Yeah, so all they care, if you got a small game license, you can kill small game with any legal means. So a bird is legal means. You don't need a falconry license to do it. But my feelings are, you know what? It's a free country. Honestly, if somebody wants to go have a pet owl, go have a pet owl. If you want to have a pet harrisock, go have a pet harrisock. Don't get licensed. Don't call yourself a falconer. It's the licensed falconers that I'm more concerned about. And so if Joe Blow wants to go do whatever, knock yourself out. Who am I to tell you not to do it?
We got a libertarian.
So I think, as a club, we should be more concerned about like the actual licensed people calling themselves falconers under license. The other people.
But you're not concerned about somebody that's not equipped and going out and buying a Russian Goshawk, and just going and taking some little kid's face off with it and then making everybody else look bad. Like the media and the general public's not going to know the difference if he's licensed or not. They're just going to say he was flying a bird and it hurt somebody and now it makes you all look bad. Like, and now you're on the defensive. Like, you're not concerned about that? Like, I'm with you on libertarianism. Just leave me the fuck alone and just let me do what I want to do. But just because you're licensed and there's like, you guys know the difference, the general public's not going to know the difference if something happens.
Yeah, I'd say I'm concerned about it. But at the same time, I don't see any viable way we can do anything about it. And so I'm not going to stress myself over something that we have, like,
right.
We have no authority to tell the general public what to do. And so all we can govern is practicing falconers and even then just falconers within our club. And so just trying to tell everybody what they're not supposed to do, we can say it, it's not going to do anything. Like, it's
right. Makes sense. Do you are you involved in your club at all? Is there a club for Ontario?
Yeah. I'm on the executive.
Okay.
So
how many
comments made today are made as Nathan Hyland, the private falconer, not on behalf of the Ontario Hockey Club. I'm just going to put that disclaimer in there. Okay. So my president doesn't get mad at me.
Don't worry about it. He's probably not listening. Just kidding.
He ain't listening.
So
Martin knows where I live. I'm very scared of him.
Yeah, really?
Oh, Martin's a good guy. I like him.
Okay.
He's not the OHC president anymore. It's Louise now.
Sound like it.
He left us for bigger and better things.
That's what they all do. Stepping stone. Are you involved in it? How many members are your club, and what's the vibe of your club life like? Because there's different
members,
vibes.
I think we float like 90 to 105, depending on time of year and membership renewal.
Okay.
So yeah, it's the biggest club in Ontario, or in Ontario. It's the biggest club in Canada.
Okay.
No, it's great. Super active. They hold 2 or 3 workshops a year. Summer barbecue. They throw a great field meet every fall. I haven't traveled a lot, but from what I've seen, like we throw one of the better meets in North America. You have great turnout, great guests, good hawking. Very friendly, very supportive. Like my sponsor was pretty useless. It was the club that basically got me on the right foot and got me where I needed to be.
Shout out
it's a good
to your
group of guys.
sponsor again.
Yeah.
Shout out
Nathan,
good sponsors.
I have a question before we move on from like the legality. Access to birds. What are there any birds there that you would like to get access to that you can't?
Great question.
So we would love in some ways to get access to wild peregrines, but the reality is wild peregrines aren't really practical here because we don't have upland and our duck season's done, well, basically now when things freeze up. So if you're trapping a passage peregrine and getting it going, late October, November, you're going to fly it for 2 weeks and then your season's done. So reality is anybody here flying a long wing, a chamber race bird's actually a better bet. And there's not that many long wingers here anyway. So there isn't much of a push. Otherwise, for wild take, we can take Cooper's hawks, merlins, sharpshins, red tails, and there's a lottery on goshawks. So we got basically, that's really all we could ask for.
If you wanted a golden eagle, could you get one?
Yeah, captive bred, yeah.
No problem. Nothing, no special licensing.
Nope. As an apprentice falconer, you could go and buy a golden eagle if you wanted to. Not saying you should, just saying you legally could.
Shit. Oh man.
So is that a problem up there? Is it a problem with falconers having golden eagles that are dangerous because they don't know what they're doing?
Not really. There's a few guys, like abatement demo guys who have bald eagles. Most of them are all good, competent falconers. There's 1 or 2 who, lose their eagle about twice a year, and just the annual post goes up. So and so looking for their eagle, and sure enough, they'll find it 2 weeks later and get it back.
Did you know, Nathan, that in the United States we cannot have a captive-born golden eagle?
Yeah, I didn't know that. Yeah, is it just goldens or is it all eagles?
Oh, no, goldens, bald.
For the only native eagle you could have for falconry is a golden eagle. You could get technically you could get exotic eagles if you, but they're really not even obtainable. But as far as golden eagles are concerned, as far as I know, there is one licensed breeding facility in the United States, and it's a Comanche Indian project, and they're not selling golden eagles, and they might not even be able to sell golden eagles if they wanted to. They probably couldn't. We got this strange hard-on for eagles in this country.
Yeah, it's funny. Well, we're still kind of that way with the peregrine. The peregrine's still listed as endangered in Canada. Or not endangered, it's species at risk or something at the federal level. So, getting take for it within the provinces is tricky. Saskatchewan has take. You can take peregrines in Saskatchewan, but not Ontario, which I find so funny. So I can't trap a peregrine as an Ontario falconer, but once it flies across the border, you guys can trap them in you're trapping our peregrines, but we can't trap our peregrines.
Yeah, it's the same thing in the States. New York, you can't trap a passage peregrine. New Jersey gets 5 permits a year. And those birds, 1,000,000% are flying right through New York to get to Jersey. It makes no sense whatsoever. So, we're dealing with that too here. I do want to push back on you because I think if you got a passage peregrine early, you go through all the training process, you have 2 weeks to fly it before season ends. I mean, you can still serve it and still drone it and kite it, and then start the season fresh the next year and start killing some ducks. You know what I mean? With a bird
for
that's
sure. It's
got all
definitely
this
doable.
experience.
The reality is, I think there's like maybe 7 guys in the province actively flying long wings. So
Right.
there's just not that much political push for it.
Right. Yeah.
Like it's not that like if we had access to them, it wouldn't be cool. We wouldn't take them. But like the amount of political push it would take to get it, it's really like the juice just isn't worth the squeeze.
Right.
And given that they're still listed federally, like we need to get them delisted federally before we can even start a conversation with the ministry.
Right.
And like, yeah, if we're going to for regulation change, there's a bunch of other stuff that we'd rather get. And so it's, yeah.
Very, yeah, it's a whole, yeah.
Like if the ministry calls us and says, "Hey, do you guys want to take peregrines?" Like we're not going to say no.
But they're never going to do that unless you push for it.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I have another question for you, and this was a discussion I had on the phone today with a falconer from the States. You said you love your club. Your club puts on a great field meet every year. You got a great turnout, great guests. You like where they host the meet. Now, if an organization like NAFA said, "We're coming to Ontario in the fall or the winter. We're bringing, everybody's coming. All the people from out of the country, out of the state, everyone's going to be there." How would you feel about that?
Yeah, for myself, I'd be down.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we're
hawking your spot. They're hawking your spot, your backyard.
Well, we're not coming to Peterborough.
Well, I'm just saying.
Oh, yes, they are.
Yes,
they are.
Yeah, they're going to find out. So that's the problem.
It's funny. I mean, we've even had that debate, like even within our club. You know, there's 2 or 3 main spots we usually hold the meet, and the local guys always get kind of pissy about it. The meet this year is actually we're holding it out east. We're actually holding it in my neck of the woods.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, my feelings on that, like, sure, come up, pound everything for 2 weeks. The rabbits are all still going to be there. And hell, you know, if you burn all my spots, I'll just go find new ones. Like rabbit and squirrel spots, I'm not that precious about. Yeah, I'm going back to earlier, we're talking about scouting. One of the things I try and do, actually, I challenged myself a few years ago to try and hunt as many different cities in the season as possible to kind of, you know, get out of my comfort zone instead of just hitting all the spots I know to try and I think, yeah, in the one season I hit like 18 different cities.
Jeez, nice.
In the one city or the one season. And even now I try and make a point, like if I've got a weekend, if I've got all day, I'll try and start every day at a new field. Just it's so easy to just get in that routine, and you know, like I've got enough fields to hunt for the season. I could just hunt all my known spots. But if you get in the habit of doing that, you know, like you lose spots. And so if you're not adding new ones, pretty soon you're running short. And yes, I try and challenge myself to get out of the routine. Yeah, you know, if I've got 40 minutes, I'm just going to go to a spot I know, put up game, get a kill, go home. But, you know, if it's Saturday and I've got 2 hours, yeah, I'll start at a new spot, go in. If it's a bust, I'll go somewhere I know. But I find 9 times out of 10, that new field I hit for the first time is the best hunting I get all week because it's a new field, it's untouched. They don't know what's coming.
Right. Yeah.
I find rabbit and squirrel spots. Yeah, I mean, if you're willing to drive a bit, they're not hard to find. I'm not too precious about. I mean, if you touch my duck ponds, we'll have words. but my duck spots I'm precious about.
Yeah.
Who cares? I'll find more.
Now your duck spots, because you're hitting ponds with the long wing, and you're also hitting creeks and stuff like that with the Goshawk. I saw a couple of your videos, and you utilize the dog for those kind of slips also, don't you? For the Goshawk.
Yeah.
So like for me, hawking ducks with a Goshawk, I feel like adding a dog in would just make the whole thing like super chaotic. So just for me, because I don't run like a bigger dog that jumps in water and like, you know, I got dachshunds, so like they're not doing anything really. So how are you setting those slips up, and how are you finding those creeks?
Yes, I mean, most of those creeks are spots that I squirrel hawked previously, and then so I already knew about the spots. And again, it's not hard. Just go on Google Satellite and like look, and there's the creek running through. Like they're not hard to find that way.
Right.
And then so those are mostly spots, down south along the lakeshore there'll be ducks there. Like our duck season goes to early January.
Nice.
So we have a few more months of season, but like all the small ponds will be froze. So like the running creeks will stay open. And being farther south will stay open longer. So yeah, there's basically 3 or 4 creeks that feed into Lake Ontario. And then like you talked about in an earlier episode, like I just hit them along different points. Like you just follow that creek and you basically find the access points and you just kind of go in and hammer all along.
Yeah.
And it doesn't take, I mean, at that point too, you're flying their resident ducks. Like they're not migrating by January. And so they're usually pretty predictable in where they are. For the dog, I mean, I didn't start flying ducks I didn't start seriously flying ducks until a few seasons ago. I mean, she was already a maid dog at that point. The biggest thing is, the dog needs to be biddable. And so one of the things I like about her is she's a very biddable dog. She's not like, it's funny going from like Jack Russell to her. Like, she is not driven to kill. She's driven to hunt and make me and she's driven to serve me and the bird. Like, if I pull my lure out of my vest mid hunt, she'll stop and sit, and she'll wait for me to call the bird down before she keeps flushing. Like the hunt's pot, like she's hunting with me, not doing her own thing trying to kill stuff.
Right.
So even for ducks, like it took her a little while to kind of figure out what I wanted to do. Like she had to kind of figure out that we were after them. So say this season is the first season I've really seen her like actually actively pursuing ducks. Like she'll actually go into a pond and swim out and actually chase the ducks across the pond. Generally, she's just running around looking for rabbits, looking for squirrels. And so I'll come in on the ducks and I'll just call her and send her over, and she'll run up and then go in the water because I sent her. And then, if it's a small creek and the ducks are right in front of her, she'll kind of, go check them out. And that's usually all the pressure it takes to flush them.
Perfect. Yeah, it's because dude. Yeah, because I found hawking ducks by yourself with one goshawk. It's either picture perfect, or it becomes like this freaking rat hunt where they're scurrying out the sides and they're going out this way and the bird's here and you wish you had another person there. So I feel like you just cresting the stream and sending the dog and the dog jumping in there, like even if they're resident ducks and they don't want to get, especially mallards, they don't want to get off the water. That dog in the water with them is just going to get them out of there and give you a nice flush. Because some of your videos are freaking epic, man. Like the dog jumping in there, the ducks blowing out, and the bird just smoking them. It's
what I want to do, and if I get the goshawk, I actually have a camera mount to put the camera on the dog.
Oh, yes,
you got to
do
video
that.
of the dog going in flushing the ducks would be so good.
Yes, you got to do that.
I haven't got that shot yet. No, and I find even just the presence of the dog on the bank, like,
yes,
especially like mallards in semi-urban areas, like they're pretty used to humans. They're not that worried about you, but like a dog in their presence just unnerves them. And so I find, the dogs, like if you get a good jump surprise flush, I'll just try and jump them and flush them on my own. And then, if that doesn't work, or if they hold, if they put back in, and then like I'll kind of come in and set it up and try and kind of pin them and pressure them and then send the dog. And I find like that kind of contained, like you can kind of set it up and then you send the dog, and just that added pressure of the dog is usually enough to blow them out and get that clean flush.
Yeah. Yeah, because getting them to blow out sometimes because like I got ducks, man, like I swear I know what they're thinking. Like I crest the stream, I run up and yell, they start to blow out, and then they see me and they see the bird midair and they go, "Oh, it's you." And then they go back into the water and then they play this freaking game with me. And it's like I got to damn near jump in and do a cannonball to get them to actually flush. And even then it's not a clean flush. So yeah, that's super cool that you use the dog for like that urban, like not even urban, but just like the creek, what the traditional duck hunters would call jump shooting, the jump flush type duck hawking is super cool that you utilize the dog for that. I really like that. It's so much fun.
Yeah, and I'm still definitely like, I've really only duck hawked seriously for a couple seasons, so my field craft definitely still leaves a lot to be ironed out. From what I've found so far, is having the dog is super helpful. And especially flying the long wing. Like you think it's hard flushing ducks with a goshawk, hanging 800-gram Pure Peregrine at 150 feet over the pond.
Yeah, they don't want to leave.
they do not want to leave. And so, yeah, having a dog to go in and just add that extra pressure is, I would say almost essential. And then the other piece too, with the spots I'm hunting and the growth, like I would say probably 40% of the ducks we catch are getting knocked down in cover, and the dogs retrieving them. Just because they're getting knocked down in cattails or long grass or things, and then usually the bird knocks them down, and then he'll lose them in that kind of cover. And so having if I didn't have a good dog to retrieve them, I would lose half of the ducks we flew.
Yeah, that's a whole nother world that I'm not too familiar with, right, Aaron? Me and you both. Yeah, it's fascinating. So when he's knocking them down and you're sending the dog in to retrieve, are you doing what I think you're doing, where you're leaving the bird up there to get another one? Or is usually the pond blown out at that point?
Depends partly on him and partly on the pond. Like if he knocks him down and there's still ducks in the pond, yeah, absolutely, we're leaving that one and we're gonna finish flying and then we're coming back for it.
Yeah.
But yeah, typically if he knocks something and he sees it go down, he'll usually go into cover after it,
right?
To try and find it. If he knocks it in and the pond's blown out and he doesn't go in, I'll just find it and then throw it out for him.
Right.
But no, actually, we doubled. We actually had a flight. At least she put like 4 of them back down, but 2 of them we put back into the pond. It was actually my first time back from Saskatchewan, and I hit this little pond. But it's my best spot. It's like this little pond. It's like 100 feet long, 40 feet wide, on the edge of a cornfield. And I had steady. It always had about 6 or 7 mallards on it. So I flew a bunch early season. I went to Saskatchewan. I came back. My first flight there, I glassed it, and I can see a couple little heads popping up. So, perfect. Put the bird up, run and flush. Like 20 mallards get up. It's like Jesus.
Yeah.
Like, there were at least 80 mallards packed in this little tiny pond. And so we basically just rained mallards for about 10 minutes. Like they'd get up and he would just pound them back in the pond. They'd just pound them back in the pond. The first one, he was actually up at a decent pitch, and she actually hit it down into the bank. But there were ducks flying everywhere, so he hit it and then just chased a different one. Like didn't bother going back for the one he hit because there was ducks everywhere. We reflushed, but he wasn't up high enough, and just knocked him down. And then finally, one group tried to bail out behind him, and he turned around and just gunned them down and bound to a hen out over the swamp on the other side.
Nice.
And then track him down and find him on this hen in the middle of the swamp off the other end of the pond. And then came back, and then the dog went in and found the first one he hit.
Nice.
In the long grass. We got the double, but
was it dead, or was it mortally wounded? But it was mortally wounded, basically.
Yeah, it was once I finished with it.
Right.
That's the thing I find with ducks. Like if you knock a duck, like a duck isn't like an upland bird. Like if you knock a duck in a cover, like they're not good in cover.
Right.
So if you knock a duck in long grass, it's just going to hide. And like they're not going to flush out of that stuff very well. So typically, once they're knocked in a cover, the dog can catch them.
Yeah.
Like if you knock one down in a stubble or something, it's going to get back up and fly away. But like if you knock them in a cattails or in a tall grass or in any kind of brush, like they don't do. Like they don't do cover well.
Yeah, makes sense by their physiology. How are you dispatching ducks?
I've actually got an old pair of game shears. I cut the head off of, so I just have like that. Like they have like that bone notch at the base of them. So I cut all the sharp ends off it, and I'll just use that and just pop the vertebrae.
Cut the whole head off, or snip the vertebrae. You just snip the head off, or snip the vertebrae.
Yeah, so it's not a sharp blade, so it won't take the head off, but it'll just sever the vertebrae. So it kills the duck, but doesn't. Yeah, I don't want to be spraying blood everywhere, especially with the avian influenza. Actually, ever talking about that? Sorry, you asked me that earlier. I never actually really answered it. Based on what I've heard about the avian influenza, the kind of anecdotal studies that NAFA's done, and the falconers I've talked to, the birds need a pretty high viral load to become infected. So, I've certainly heard of people losing birds, but every case I've heard of, the bird ate duck, or it ate a goose, or like it actually cropped up on something infected. I haven't heard any cases of, oh, my bird tapped a duck and then died 2 days later, or I walked through a pond and brought it back in my shoes and all my birds died.
Right.
So basically, my approach: I haven't fed duck to any of my birds since the outbreak started. So I'm letting them kill. I'm letting them pluck. I'll let them pluck for 3 or 4 minutes to kind of settle down. But then I'm trading them off and feeding them up on quail or pigeon or something clean. I'm just not, and then we'll eat all of it ourselves.
Yeah. So you think that I'm not trying to say that some of these studies were trying to scare people, but it seemed like they were making it seem like if your bird just touches it, they're going to die. So you're not convinced by that.
Well, yeah. So like with the first year when it came out, like the ducks will carry the virus on their feathers.
Yeah.
So like if a duck is sick and it lands in a pond and it spreads the virus into the virus will live on the pond water. And so any duck that lands in that pond is going to pick up virus on their feathers. So if you take that duck and you test it in a lab, you're going to find virus on his feathers. You're talking a very small amount of virus.
Right.
So my bird might catch that duck, might pluck it. It might ingest a tiny amount of virus while plucking that duck, but that's a very small viral load. It's not enough to actually get the bird sick. Its immune system can handle that tiny viral load. The concern is like they need a large amount of virus in their system to induce infection and kill them. So it's not, and that was the thing we didn't know when it first broke out, was how virulent it was and how transmissible it was. So like, is that little bit of stuff on their feathers enough to kill them? We didn't know, which is why everyone was freaking out. But like based on the evidence from the last couple of years, like all the birds that have died from a crop. So I think as long as your bird's not feeding up on it, not going to say it couldn't happen, but just I haven't heard of it happening yet. And I mean, I've killed, 40 ducks since the outbreak started, and so far so good.
Yeah. That's interesting. That makes me feel a little bit better about going after ducks this year, because our season is just starting down here pretty much.
Yeah.
It just got started. So, and you guys are
all
ending.
the ones I missed.
Yeah, all the ones you missed are coming down here for me to take care of them. Hopefully. Fingers crossed.
That's a good thing with ducks is they're migratory, so they're replenishing. So if whatever you kill, something else is just going to move into that pond.
Yeah,
or migrate through.
Coming from rabbit hawking to duck hawking, like I killed 90% of my ducks this year off of 3 spots.
Right. Yeah.
I've got other spots I fly, but like those are my bread and butter. I mean, I know the one spot's got 3 ponds at it. Like I hunted all 3 of the ponds, but like like a good duck spot is worth its weight in gold.
Yeah, that's, and I have found with finding duck spots, and like you said, like I've been hawking ducks for a couple years, 7 years, 8 years, but I'm still like learning, I guess. So, but like it's interesting to see that like every year new migratory ducks, because they'll just be all black ducks in one little turn of a stream, and there's all black ducks in there. Then I'll come another day, there's just only mallards in there, and it's like they're definitely feeding, like something's drawing them to that particular spot, like I guess the feed or whatever it is that they're eating in there that's drawing them back there. Like year after year, new birds are just going there. So it's super, like, ducks are like fascinating, because like me and my sponsor had this talk, because he's real big on like respecting everybody's spots and stay out of my spots. I'll stay out of your spots and like all that, find your own, that kind of thing. But with ducks, we kind of like we're less like protective, because there's always like, if there's a turn in a river or a stream and there's ducks there one year, like you can almost guarantee at some point there's going to be more ducks there the next year and the next year and the next year. There's something there that they're eating. They feel safe there, or whatever the case may be. So it's super cool how they find a spot and then like keep going back to it,
Well, actually, and that's funny, because I would say for me, it's the opposite. Like I've got other falconers, actually just new falconer just started flying in Peterborough, right near where I live. And so first time I've had another falconer in my area since I started. And like for me, rabbit and squirrel spots, I'm not really that precious about. Like my approach is just, I don't care which spots you hunt. I don't care if you hunt spots I showed you. Yeah, just don't overhunt them. Like as long as you don't hit the same spot every week, like you're never going to kill all the squirrels there. So the issue is if you go in and educate them all. If you hit that spot so often that the squirrels know what's happening the second I step out of my vehicle and they all run to holes.
Yeah.
Well, that's annoying. So just as long as you don't overhunt them and I don't overhunt them, I don't care which spots you hit, just only hit them once a month. Versus duck hawking, if you fly a pond 10 minutes before I do, the pond's done. It's empty. Like, a pond is only as good as the ducks that are on it. Versus, you can go hit my squirrel spot, and I'll come hunt it 45 minutes later, and they'll probably still be they'll be back out again.
Right.
Versus, ducks are tricky because they're either there or they're not. Like, I've got one spot. Most of the spots I fly are private farmland, but there's one spot off an industrial area in the south end of Peterborough. Yeah, great pond beside a big open fallow field. Nice spot to fly, but the problem is people also run dogs there. So if you get there after like 4 o'clock, it's always empty. If you go there in the morning, they'll have ducks. But the guys they come in, they drive their truck right around the edge of the pond and flush all the ducks off, and then go run their dogs out in that back field. That's like the pond's only as good as the ducks that are on it. Versus like a squirrel spot, sure, go run your dog through it. I'll hunt it as soon as you're done. The squirrels are all still there.
Right. That's an interesting philosophy. Yeah, it's I get
wrong,
it's blasphemous and wrong, but I get your thought process behind it.
Well, I say that now with the luxury of not having many falconers in my area. You might call me back in 5 years and go, "Oh, damn them all, get them over my fields."
Brett, there's only one person here that hooks me up with spots, and I try and reciprocate that. But that drives me crazy, man. Everybody else just wants somewhere to hunt, but they don't pony up any spots of their own.
Yeah, I deal with that. I deal with that myself. Not so much this year or the year before, but other years in the past. Like, I got buddies that I really like. I love hawking with them, and they don't really have good spots by them. So I'm always like, all right, on Saturday we'll hit some of my spots. Just come drive up, meet at my house in the morning. We'll go hit some spots, and
Well, I think it's a tricky thing because I know guys who say, "Oh yeah, I'll take you on as an apprentice, but you're not allowed to hunt any field I show you." It's like, reality is, I want anybody who's an apprentice with me. I expect you to come out with me for like at least the season's worth of hawking before you get your first bird. Well, reality is, in that season's worth of hawking, I'm going to show you 90% of the good fields in your area. So if you're not allowed to hunt any of those, where are you supposed to go? Like, for me,
just find your own. That's where you're supposed to go.
Well, yeah, but like I know most of the spots. Like, not that, like, there's certainly some I don't, but I'm going to show you most of the good, viable hawking ground. And so, like, the main thing for me, I want to see, like, the lady who's in Peterborough here, like, she hunts a bunch of spots I've showed her, or like that we've hunted together. But I also know she's found a whole bunch of spots I've never showed her. She's hunted spots I didn't know about. Like, she's got access to some of the Trentlands. So really, again, as long as you're doing the legwork and finding your own fields, like, if you're just going to mooch off what I showed you, then I'll get pissed. But like,
I was just going to say,
I don't get too
typical Canadian. Typical Canadian, so nice, so accommodating. Because the problem
come
is,
up here and see how much land we have, and then you'll get it.
That's a good point. But yeah, because the problem is you'll say that, and then you'll get somebody that just abuses it and just keeps going back. Every Saturday they're at your spot. You pull in, their car's there already. They're already got their dogs out. They're killing everything. They're catching 9-10 rabbits in one field.
We need to send Harrison up there.
Yeah. We got one kid. We got one kid down here, dude, in the United States, dude. You're lucky he doesn't live out of the state, man, out of the country. This kid, you show him a spot, he just moves right in. He sets up a camper. He just lives at your spots until there's nothing left, and then he goes to the next spot.
I find like the reality is that
just kidding.
It's generally there's actually 2 or 3 spots down by Oshawa that I won't bother hunting after November because there's like 6 people who all hit that. Like, it's easy, it's right off the highway, it's easy access to the good field, and so it gets hit like 4 times a week.
Yeah.
So I didn't show anybody that field. It's right there off the highway.
Yeah. Yep. We got one just like that.
Like, just rotate your fields. Like, if everybody just rotates your fields, we can all hawk the same stuff. Like, I don't care who showed you it. Don't abuse it. It doesn't matter whether you found it on your own or whether, like, because if you found it on your own, I probably hunted as well anyway. Like, I don't care if you found it or if I showed you. Just don't overhunt it. Problem solved.
Yeah. I listen, I completely get it. But when it comes time to having that conversation, because you have to have that conversation, it becomes very uncomfortable.
Dude, I just told my
that's why you
apprentice.
just let air to their tires.
I just told my apprentice. Yeah, that's a good one. I told my apprentice that she needs to get some spots. And, Casey predicted it was going to be uncomfortable, and it was.
Yeah, of course. Because my sponsors drilled it in my head from the because I before I even got my bird, I was out beating brush with them, and they would be like, "Oh, got to find some spots. And then I'm like, yeah, I'm looking. I don't have a driver's license. I'm looking, and then I get my bird, and they're like, I'm like, so can I go? And they're like, no, you can't. They're like, I told you for the last year to find spots. Go find spots. And then they'd even say, because they'd come to my house and we'd go look for spots together because I didn't have a driver's license. They'd pick Paul or Phil would pick me up. We'd get in the car. We'd go check. I'd be like, I don't know. There's a patch of woods over there. Let's go check it. There's millions of squirrels. That's just a patch of woods in in an urban area. And so we'd go catch a squirrel there, and they'd be like, okay, good. Look, this spot, 10 minutes from your house, you could just come here. Here's one spot. There you go. You got one. Now let's find you some more. And it was like from the beginning, it never got awkward. It did get awkward. Not really. They would drive about an hour from where they live, and I lived 15 minutes from them. And I actually lived at my sponsor's house for 4 years before I met my wife, my beautiful wife. And then I moved up. I moved in 45 minutes, an hour from them. And I'm 15, 20 minutes. Actually, it's realistic. It's a half an hour. I exaggerate. It's a half an hour from my house, one of their prime locations for hockey. So on a Saturday, they're going up to this big area, agriculture area, and there's tons of rabbits there. And I moved up here, and that spot's 25 minutes from my house. So then it kind of got uncomfortable because I got a new Goshawk, and I'm like, listen, I live up here now. I'm only half an hour away. And they're like, dude, that's our spot. And I'm like, I live close.
Yeah, but
and it got a little uncomfortable.
It's fine.
Yeah, and it got a little not uncomfortable, but we discussed it, and then finally Phil was like, listen, just get your bird entered because there's a ton of rabbits there, and then find your own spots because you live in a beautiful area for rabbits. And now 3 years later, I got spots coming in my ears from all these little honey holes where I live now, and that's part of the reason why I moved up here. So it's different, the culture. Is that how it is throughout the whole province where you live, or is it just your personal philosophy?
No. There's tons of guys who are super protectionist, don't hunt my fields, and every field is their field, they forget the fact that they were shown that field when they started out, but it's their field now.
Right.
No, I mean, it's the same as anywhere else. And the other part of it for me too, scouting is part of hunting.
Yes,
as a hunter, you should part of catching game is finding the game, finding the field. Even if I find this when I go to Saskatchewan, my first time going out, we kind of relied on some of the locals, but I don't go out and stay where all the the spot. I intentionally pick the area I'm in because I'm about an hour and a half, 2 hours from the nearest falconer. Because I'll go out, I'll find my own fields. It's way more satisfying to kill a partridge out of a field that you found and you got permission on and you set up than to just go out with somebody and have them set you up on a covey and then you fly your bird. You're not really hunting at that point. You're just putting your bird up for the setup they gave you.
So you think hunting, excuse me, you think hunting is part of that, is finding your own, is hunting for your own spots as well?
Yeah, it's finding the quarry. It's doing every part of it, right? It's finding the field, entering the field, flushing the
Yeah,
it's all part of the hunting process.
It is pretty satisfying though when you find your own great spot that hasn't been touched, and you're like, "Holy crap! This place is loaded with whatever it is that I'm after." That's nice. Usually, when I find a spot that's loaded, it's like, oh, that's why it's loaded, because everything's impossible to catch here. You know what I mean? So if I go somewhere and there's rabbits kicking up everywhere, there's a good reason why, because there's no perching anywhere for hawks.
Yeah.
Or It's got a lot of little hills on it where the rabbits can just exhaust the predators.
And the thing for me too, I have more dog power than most people around here. So there's a lot of stuff like that. Either other people will run the field and then I'll just run after them and flush stuff, or a lot of fields that other people don't bother hunting because.
Oh yeah.
The dog power makes a huge difference.
I'm one of the few people down here that runs dogs in my falconry, and I can reliably go out and catch rabbits. They cannot because they don't have dogs. It's like you need dogs to catch rabbits here.
Yeah.
Now, there's always jackasses who end up kicking up a couple random rabbits, in parks or whatever. But
Aaron always brings up parks on this show. He hates parks. I'm like, dude, parks are awesome.
They're good. They're good to enter a bird, to get a new bird going.
But in the middle of the winter when there's nobody there, bro.
I was actually thinking about this today when I was driving around. You brought up the point, and you're right, that when you pursue a squirrel in a park, they revert to a wild state, right?
Yeah, they're not like I'm a pet. What is that thing?
Yeah.
They know exactly what it is.
Yeah, they know what they're doing.
They're still red-tailed in parks.
Yes.
Yeah. The difference is, though, you're hawking on paths. You're hawking on manicured ground.
Work hard, work smarter,
there's
not harder.
Bail out. There's no hollow logs to hide in. There's no. There's nowhere to go.
There's a guy
depending on where you are.
I was just going to say,
a guy down here.
Go ahead.
There's a guy down here. Somebody was talking about hawking early season, which, Nathan, this is probably not a problem you have in Canada. They were like, I don't want to deal with snakes. I don't want to catch snakes in October when the squirrel season opens. And this person said, you need to hawk at places that have groundskeepers. I was like, dude,
bro,
how whack is that? You need to hawk at places with groundskeepers.
Bro, if you can hawk somewhere, if you're legally allowed to hawk somewhere that has groundkeepers, why would you not hawk there?
Because you want to get out in the wild. You want to experience nature. You want a challenge, dude. If you don't want a challenge, get a shotgun.
So my opinion on this, a rabbit caught in natural cover in a nice wild field tastes the exact same as a rabbit caught on a manicured lawn.
Correct. Except I don't eat the ones around here. Too many pesticides. I only eat the ones I catch in rural fields. And Aaron, I challenged myself the other day. I went to a public land, state property. And this is actually a great story because I got state property right by my house. And it's so like there's goldenrod up over your head, which is not hard for me to be it over my head. I'm like
so 5'9". It was 4 foot tall.
It was like 4.5 feet tall, way over my head. And I'm just running around there like freaking Frodo. And so there's rabbits there. I know there's rabbits there. I've seen them there. I hacked my bird there. I see sign there's rabbits there. So I don't know what exactly is going on there because I was on my way to work in the morning and I saw a big tractor. It's all ag around me. So, there's tractors everywhere. So I saw the tractor cut a left into the trail that goes into this field. And I noticed they cut the front one and they cut the side one. And then I see him and there's nothing else to cut except for all the way in the back where like the hedgerows are and the thickets are and like the cover. And I go, I'm coming home after work. If he cut that field, I'm going in there tonight. Dude, he cut the whole field. I went in there, dude, rabbits crawling everywhere. And I'm like, why? Like, so I want to find out, like, why did the state have them cut that? Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, but they sent a guy in there with a big brush hog. He cut the whole goldenrod field. I'm talking like 6 football fields worth of goldenrod he cut.
Jeez.
And there's beautiful cover on either side. So it's not like they just cut it, And so I go in there, sure as crap. I go in there, walk 15 feet in the woods. Dogs move a rabbit. Birds chasing it. New bird chases around, catches a squirrel. Beautiful flight. I just posted it the other day. Sweet grab. Go run back to the truck, let her eat. Pull out the North American made bird. Flushing rabbits. Boom, 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 boom. Grabs a squirrel. Just, like so weird. Like there's rabbits everywhere, and somehow they both caught squirrels in the same hunt. And that was in the middle of nowhere. I thought I was going to blow my tire out. I was driving in the middle, back in the field in the middle of nowhere. And I challenged myself. But dude, if I go to a park and it's like 10 degrees outside, snow everywhere, no one's around, and I see squirrels run all over the place, bro, I'm hitting it, dude. And I'm not going to feel one bit sorry about it, Aaron. So I don't care what you say.
I mean, it's fine, but because I do it too. I've got to supplement real hawking with fake hawking.
It's all hawking, bro. Come on.
But to me, it's not as satisfying as going somewhere, and busting
The thing I find here with the city squirrels, they're definitely easier to catch. I don't think it's a predation issue. I think it's a fat issue.
Right.
You get some of these city squirrels eating on bird feeders, and they are so fat. It is. I don't know if you guys get it down south, but with because of the winters we get, you cut these things open and they're literally obese. You gotta go. No wonder my bird caught you. How did you even climb the tree?
You know what we call them down here? We call them plump. They're plump.
It's the nougat filled squirrels. They're full of all that good nougat.
I like. It's my favorite kind of squirrel. Plump.
Nathan, I got a question for you. It sounds to me like you're doing the falconry you really want to do. Just period. Do you have goals that for your falconry in the future? Are there species of birds you'd like to fly? Is there quarry you'd like to fly? What are you hoping to do in the future?
No, I'm pretty much doing what I want to do. Yeah, the next main thing, I've never done an imprint. The Goshawk I'm flying now is an imprint, but I didn't obviously imprint her. So I'm going to put in for wild take next year, and I'm hoping to pull an IS North American female and imprint it. But yeah, planning to do the exact same thing with that bird as I'm doing with my current bird. Bird wise, I really haven't actually done that much. In 12 seasons, I've flown 4 Harris Hawks, a couple of red tails, the Goshawk, and the hybrid. I really haven't flown that. I mean, the last 5 years, I've basically just flown the 2 birds. For me, I'm a lot more quarry focused than bird focused. So the one thing I would love to try and do, because I feel like it's a very underutilized quarry in Ontario, is doves. We have a morning dove season, and we have tons of doves. The challenge is getting them in hawkable setups, especially where I am. There's quite a bit of agriculture, but very small field agriculture. And so if I'm going to fly them with a long wing, I'm going to need them in finding doves is easy. You drive down the road, there's doves in the power line, there's doves flying over you, there's doves in all my rabbit spots. But to get doves pinned in a stubble field where you can flush them reliably without cover is a whole other thing. And so, yeah, I would love to try and do that. But yeah, other than that, rabbit, squirrels.
What kind of bird would you use for that?
I mean, again, I don't like trading birds, so ideally I would do it with the hybrid I've got. He's probably way too big.
Way too big. What does that thing fly? 900?
No, he's not that big. He's low 8.
Oh, okay. So he's a big. He's a big tundra peregrine, basically.
Basically, big male Jer peregrine. It'd be
That's overkill.
I know the cannon.
Yeah, that's
and that's part of why I haven't done it. Is I would have to get a bird specifically for it, and I have nothing else local I could fly a bird like that on. I have no upland or anything else to really fly it at. So if I get a bird and the dove hawking doesn't work out, A, do something to fly it up, and 2, it means I then have to enter a bird on a quarry that I'm just learning myself, which is always hard. So what I'd probably do if I really wanted to do it, I'd get a small male peregrine. I'd go to Saskatchewan. I'd enter it on partridge, teach the bird the gig, hunting partridge, which I more or less know how to fly, and then come back and try doves. But no, what I want to try, the way most of the guys here gun hunt them, is they hunt them off decoys. And so they'll put out, a few tree decoys, and they have the little flappers to, stimulate the doves moving, and they'll set up kind of like you would for ducks, either by a water source or by a feed source, and you put your decoys out, and the doves come in. And so I kind of want to try that, and I might even just do do dry runs next fall and see if I can get doves to reliably come in with decoy setup. Like if I could do that and like go out to a good ag field with like a little strip of cover, put decoys out and get doves to put in where the decoys are. And then I could sit on the edge of the field and just, watch it with binos, the bird all beeped up ready. And as soon as I see doves dumping into the decoys, throw the bird up, pin the doves, and then walk in. I feel like it could be doable.
They're going to go for the decoys.
So that's what everybody said.
100%.
No, get them used to the decoys.
The first time for sure. The hope is they would figure it out. And I think if you use, so what I would do, I'd use the stationary decoys. Like I think you get the what is the like the robo ones with the spinning wings.
Yeah, those are going to be a
disaster.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like if you do stationary decoys like on a line, and then you can do I forget what they call it. It's like flickers, but like they're basically it's like a black and white fin that just flips, just to provide that movement. And so what I'd probably do is just put the setup out and like drone my falcon over the decoy setup. And, if they come down and strafe it, they're going to strafe it. They're going to give up at some point because it's not going to get anything.
That's
and then
they'll
finally go up to the drone. And if they fly over the decoy setup on the drone every day, they're going to ignore it. And then.
So I thought about doing this with ducks, and the only feasible way that I thought of doing this is to have a pond with decoys and a pulley anchored to the bottom of the pond, tied to every single decoy up above the water. Okay. And then the string goes through I'm telling you, this is the only way to do it. The line goes through the pulley into my blind, and I got my Goshawk, right? Or whatever. And then when the ducks come in, I slowly pull that thing in. I'll have a knot in it so it hooks right into some sort of an anchor. So I'll slowly pull it in, and the ducks will sink under the water, lock it in, cut the bird loose. That's the only way to do it. And for you, I would say do that, right? Rig up something where you can pull a string and the decoys like fall into like a hole, and then you shoot the Sharpie right out the blind and grab the doves.
Honestly, if I really wanted to kill doves, the best thing to do would probably be to get a Cooper's hawk and just field hawk them.
Sharpie's better.
Which I might do. Or he do Sharpie too.
Cooler.
See what how next season goes.
Yeah. No, that's cool. Or Merlin. Can you trap Merlins up there?
Yeah, we can trap Merlins. The problem with Merlins on doves, from what I know, is the flights go like
forever,
far. And just with the number of red tails and Cooper's hawks we have up here, I feel like you're just red tails, Cooper's hawks, and then the other issue is land access. Because again, your average farm size here is maybe 200 acres. So unless they can get permission on all 9 farms on a block,
right?
If my flight's going that far, I'm definitely not ending on the property I'm starting on. And so any kind of pursuit hawking around here isn't really feasible.
So you need a peregrine then. You need a tiercel peregrine. And that's Seth Roy, sponsor of the show, our boy, Seth Roy, North Mountain Goshawks. He was very successful with the tiercel peregrine on doves. He loved that. He did real well with that. And it was a tiercel peregrine all the way. And be curious to know how he set those slips up. But I think he just got the bird waiting on and just got him pinned down and just flushed him up and just let that bird smoke him.
So yeah, I know guys have done it down in southern Ontario, just where it's flatter and just the fields are much bigger. And when the doves are migrating, they get this huge flocks move down there in the fall. And so they'll go out and they'll just look for fields with, 100 doves in it, and throw a bird up. And then we see they're just walking through and just kicking doves out, and the birds just, whacking them.
So the concept,
guys have done it, but
so the concept is that the doves are there, and then they release the bird, and when the bird is in the air, the doves pin. I'm guessing, right?
Yeah, and apparently with doves, a lot of them will blow out. And so I was actually talking about, like, Martin used to do this, with I think with the female peregrine. And he was saying, yeah, usually when you put the peregrine up, about half the doves will blow out of the field. But you're talking about fields with 200 doves in it, so half of them blow out. You still have 100 doves. Kind of like the guys flying snipe.
Right.
Like, you put the bird up, a bunch of them bail out, but there's still enough left. Like they're not a cubby bird. So it's not like partridge where if one goes, they're all going.
Right.
Like you just have a bunch of individuals in the field, and so they're all kind of doing their own thing.
Interesting. So yeah, so there is a shot that some would pin, some would blow out, and then when the bird reaches pitch, you can just start running around or send a dog in there and just start trying to get them to move. And when they move, it's probably spectacular, I would imagine. So now,
yeah,
you got Aaron. Go ahead.
Well, I've got some non-falconry Canadian questions I want to ask.
Save it then. No, I'm just kidding.
So if your question is falconry related, go ahead.
It is. So when I think of like Ontario, where you live, I'm just thinking like there's like goshawk nests everywhere. Goshawks are like in your bird feeder. You got a lot of goshawks up there or what?
Yeah, fair few. Yeah, not too many in my bird feeder, unfortunately. There's one pooper sock in our bird feeder. Yeah, like within an hour's drive of my house, I know of 1, 2, 3 nests that were active last year.
Oh, dude, awesome!
Like, so we did, as part of our Push for Wild Take, we did a Project Goshawk. We clubbed a blitz of South Central Ontario to try and find as many goshawk nests as we could, and I think we got up to 64 sites.
Holy crap!
The South Central area.
Jeez.
Yeah, there's a lot of goshawks here.
Oh, so then put in for Wild Take, man. Forget all this dove crap, bro. Just put in and get
100%. That's what I'm doing next year. I'm doing a goshawk.
Yeah.
That's yeah,
that
was more of a side project.
Now, if you were not able to pull one for whatever reason, do you have goshawk breeders up there?
We do. I think I'd probably wait and try again the next year.
Okay.
I love it. Like, fly a wild goshawk would be the thing. And like, especially after we spent, like 6 years trying to get goshawk to go. Like, I think if I bought a goshawk, Martin might kill me.
Right. Yeah. No, the wild bird's the way to go. And I agree with you. I've never flown I flew one, but it wasn't mine. And I am first on the list this year, supposedly. And our friends up in the unmentioned state are listening. And so that's supposedly I'm first. And if I am, not that I need another goshawk.
No pressure, guys.
No pressure. Yeah. But yeah. So because the wild goshawk's the way to go. And
I would love to fly a passage one year at some point.
My sponsor just trapped a passage 2 weeks ago. That'd
be cool.
So I don't know if do you guys have this up by you, like where you can go on like these bird watching websites and count how many birds are migrating through? Do you guys have that up there?
eBird, yeah, we have eBird.
Well, no, not eBird, not eBird. It's like
the Hawk Watches,
like Hawk Watches, where it like shows the count.
Yeah, I think there's one down in Peely Island.
Okay, yeah. So
there's a couple along the lakeshore.
Okay, yeah, because we access those, and then like, we'll see a nice wind, and one of us will get up there and start trapping, and then it's fun at the end of the day to see like what did we miss or like what came down. Yeah. So my sponsor trapped beautiful, stunning female passage, and like the whole week or something, they only counted 2 goshawks for the whole week, and one of them hit the net. So. Jeez. Yeah, it's just they're like I will make the argument that the passage goshawk is probably the most valuable bird of prey to be used in falconry in our current climate. Yeah, at least down here. I mean, some guys like Mike Radford, guest of the show, friend of the show. I mean, he's got them joining in on hunts up in Alaska and stuff like that. He's seen them all the time. But like for your average U.S. falconer, passage goshawks are like, like a ghost, like a myth. So to get your hands on one and then to make one into a good hawk, it's just like a beautiful thing. And this bird's supposedly it's really calm, really moving along through training.
Yeah,
really
I've heard
well.
they're pretty steady.
Depends where you get them. It depends on the bird.
I think it also depends on where you're hawking them too.
Dude, I've hawked for almost 20 years now with my sponsors, and they've flown probably 12 passages over that time. And I've watched every single one of them fly. And you could have a 6-lane highway here, farm here, field of rabbits here, and that bird will chase the rabbits over the dogs and 16 people in the field and catch rabbits, trade off, and keep going. It's bizarre. They just snap into this hunting mode, and that's it. And then some of them are just spazzes forever, and they never calm down, and they're just taking off every 5 seconds. So that's the beauty of it, is that you don't know what you're getting. You don't know where it came from. You don't know what its experience was. You don't know what chicken coop it hit up in the middle of nowhere, up by Nathan, and then you get your hands on it. The thing's traumatized from humans. You don't know. That's what's so cool about it. You never know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, same with passage red tails, right? Like you drop a passage bird, any passage bird, and yeah, I mean, the thing might have been slaying rabbits and squirrels up until you trapped it, or it might be living on, dumpsters. Like you don't know.
Right. You don't know, dude. So a friend of the show sent a picture to me of a beautiful red tail with a big scab on the main toe of its feet. And I said, it looks like a squirrel bite. And they said, it looks like it, and then they put like the emoji, like the evil smiling emoji. And I said, how much money would you pay to know exactly, to have that scene unfolded in front of you of how the bird got that bite on its foot, like where it was, what scenario, like how much would you like, $1,000, $500 to know to see that, but you'll never know. That's
cool.
What's so cool about it is you'll never know, how did it break that feather or whatever, how did that happen? It's just so fascinating. Yeah. The wild bird. And I feel bad for our European listeners. They don't have wild take out there, and it's, I mean, that's the beauty of the sport, man, is taking a wild bird. And
yeah,
we wish we could change.
Even in Ontario, we just got wild take in 2012.
Right.
So even within my falconry career, we actually got it added. And I got to, give kudos to Martin. I mean, the whole club pushed for it, but Martin definitely spearheaded the effort over decades of lobbying to make it happen. And so they've actually, pushed it to the point now where every licensed falcon in the province is allowed to trap one of the four species every year. And then the Goshawks are on the lottery. We get 5 Goshawk permits per year.
How many people put in for that?
The first year, I think there were 7 or 8 just because of the novelty. I think it's around like 5 or 6.
So you have a good shot next year.
Oh yeah, if I put in, I have a pretty good shot of getting pulled. I mean, the reality is, we've had 3 years of it. We've issued 5 permits every year. As far as I know, only 3 have actually been taken.
Oh, okay.
Again, pulling a goshawk is, well, as you know, like you got to go out, you got to find a nest. So people go, oh, I want to fly a goshawk, I'll put in for a permit.
Yeah.
They don't actually know what's actually involved.
Yeah, how many nests do you have lined up?
And then they message me and Martin and April going, hey, do you guys know any nests? And we're kind of going, no, yeah, bad year, haven't found any. Sorry, yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly.
Go find your own.
Dude, I get it all the time. Oh, your birds are awesome. I love it, but I'm gonna fly a wild bird. I'm gonna get a bird this year. Oh, cool. What are you getting? Oh, I'm gonna get my permit. I'm gonna go pull one from a nest. Oh, awesome. You got nest lines up? No, but I'm gonna go find one.
Yeah.
Doesn't happen ever.
Well,
unless somebody helps you.
Thing here,
that's it.
It's like, so the permit draw happens at the end of March, which is kind of irritating because our birds are on eggs typically by early mid-April. So if you want to find a nest to pull from, you're scouting in March.
Yeah.
So you're scouting before you find out if you've got a permit or not. So like, if you want to pull a bird, you need to be out in March scouting, lining up nests. I mean, even if you can't find the nest, you need to find the breeding territories that you know where to look when you go back.
My personal opinion is anybody who has an interest in accipiters should be out looking for nests every year, regardless. That's my opinion.
It's so much freaking fun.
It's so fun.
It's so much fun.
Yeah.
I've been going out, every spring since, like 2013, whenever this club started doing it. And it's so much fun.
Yeah, because you put the birds up for the molt, and then you're like,
then what else do you do?
Yeah, exactly. You're twiddling your thumbs, and you're like, dude, I'm going to go hit the mountain. I'm going to go play some calls. I'm going to go wander around, look for sign. Yeah, why not? Go.
And just like that feeling like on a crisp morning when you play the tape and you hear like that distant, like, the pines. It's so good.
So that's the method you guys use up there, is playing calls in the dark early in the morning?
No, so actually we'll broadcast all day. If you go in, basically you'll go out and during, I mean, you can get callbacks all season really, but we find typically like the second, like the second half of March into early April is peak because they're nest building. And so they're super keyed up and super territorial. So you go in, you play an alarm call. If there's goshawks within 150 meters, 200 meters, and they hear that other, intruder cacking in their breeding territory, they'll come bombing out, cacking back to drive you off. And then just whatever direction they came from, walk that direction, and that's usually where the nest is. So we find you can get birds, they'll respond to that at any point in the day in that season. And then once they're on eggs, it's a lot trickier.
Yeah.
Because the female will not respond while she's sitting. So you can sometimes get callbacks from the male, especially if he's far, if he's not right by the nest, if he's out hunting, you can sometimes get callbacks. But yeah, April's pretty slow. And then, once the babies have hatched and the female's off the nest, they'll then become defensive again. And so you can then scout all summer as well. But I mean, if you're wanting an IS, you're too late at that point. Once the female's off, not sitting them, that's when you want to be pulling, not when you want to be scouting.
Listen, the first goshawk I flew was my sponsors. They called it the Brancher. It was trying to jump out of the nest when they got it. And I mean, that thing exhibited every behavior of an imprint. No different. Exactly the same. So I just think if you have a gentle hand, they all turn around. That's from what I've seen, not from me, but from me being in close proximity to guys that are very, very knowledgeable with goshawks, that it really seems like if you pull them, even if you pull them before they're even hard penned, they still kind of come around and calm down if you do it right.
Yeah. I mean, I'd say similarly, I've heard guys who swear by, the bird, once the feathers are poking through, that's when you want to pull them at 3 weeks. Some guys say, it has to be 5 days. Reality is they all seem to have more or less the same results.
Yeah.
So I feel like as long as you do the right things with the bird once you've got it.
Correct. Yeah, I agree with that. I think any goshawk in your hand, you can make it work if you have the gentle hand and you have good mentors. Mentors is a huge thing, man. Your sponsor may not be the best or whatever, but if you can find some good mentors and you can learn from them, it'll change your life, change everything. You know what I mean? Like you, Nathan. I mean, you're freaking killing it up there, man. You're killing ducks, partridge with long wings. You're killing ducks with goshawk. Are you killing squirrels with goshawks?
She has caught squirrels. She doesn't like getting bit.
No, none of them do. But does she like? She'll go out.
So she'll typically catch 1 or 2 a season.
Okay.
And then get nicked by one of them or have a near miss, and then get offended, and it's almost like she forgets over the summer that they bite her, and then she'll start every season. She'll go out and catch a couple, and then turn off them.
Right.
If I crank her weight down, she'll catch them. But I've got to crank her down a fair bit, and it's just really not worth pushing her that low to make her fly them.
Was she entered on squirrels in the beginning, or no? You don't know.
So I don't know. I'm pretty sure the only thing she flew before I got her was rabbits.
Okay.
Based on what I pieced together, I know the guy who bred her, and so he knows the falconer she went to. But I mean, this is going back a while. So I think she was flown for her first season, maybe 2, and then she got passed around for breeding. So when I got her, she hadn't flown for probably 10 years.
It's crazy.
Yeah, and so I got her out. I got her late. Actually, it was a funny story. I went to the meet in the Emirates. They had that youth themed one back in 2017, where they sponsored a bunch of youth to go out to join it. So anybody under 25. Anyway, so I went into that. So I get home after the 13-hour flight from Dubai, or Abu Dhabi, turn my phone back on. It's 5 a.m. I haven't slept in 40 hours. I got a message from my buddy Matt saying, "Hey Nate, do you want a goshawk?"
Yeah.
We're January. The season's half over, but of course I want a goshawk.
Yeah, I wish I would get messages.
So I started her mid-season. I put her up in February because we wanted to breed her. And I think we caught a dozen squirrels and 30 or 40 rabbits.
Okay, that's awesome.
So, but yeah, squirrels, she ignored initially, and then she started chasing the gray ones because the gray ones look like rabbits. We have a lot of like the black phase.
I noticed that.
Here.
I noticed that in your videos. You got a lot of black squirrels up there.
And so the black ones she ignored, but then she started chasing the gray ones and caught a couple. And when she caught a few gray ones, she turned on the black ones. So she flew them pretty reliably for a couple seasons, and then she got a couple of bad bites and just turned off. I could get her to do it, but I have to drop her about 30 grams, which just the performance loss overall just isn't worth it.
No.
I'd rather fly rabbits and ducks. So
yeah, the whole squirrel hawking thing with goshawks is a subject that rubs people the wrong way, and then other people. And I'm everybody who knows me knows that I love hawking squirrels. With goshawks, I think it's part of their daily diet in the wild. I think that they love them, but I think that if you get a bird and you don't enter it on squirrels, and then all of a sudden you're dropping weight to try to get it to catch squirrels, like of course you're going to have accidents. Something's going to happen. You know what I mean? But if you're cutting that bird loose in the summertime when it's fat and it's chasing squirrels around all day long, footing them, watching them spin around, they let go, they're basically playing with them. I mean, I'll go a whole season, I'll catch 50 squirrels, I don't get one nicked, one bite, one nothing. Like the bird just like they're so quick and they know like this thing's going to try to bite me and I'm not going to let it bite me. And that's it. But if they're low, then they're in desperation mode. They're just going to hold on and they're just going to get bit. Yeah. So you don't want that either. That's that'd be
my plan with the dewbird is start it early season, especially when like you have all the young squirrels around. Those young early season squirrels are perfect. Like they're half grown, they're easy to catch. And start it even before season opens, doing like lure drags up and down trees to kind of like build in that mindset, and then start it early when it's heavy and just let it catch some, mess around, like learn the footing. And start it on them early. Because if I could get a bird that flew rabbits, squirrels, and ducks, that would be mint. That would be perfect. That's all three of my main quarry right here.
Dude, that's what I'm talking about, bro. That's what you need to do. Sounds like you have a very, very, very good shot of getting a nice goshawk next year. Yeah. Nathan, is there anything else you want to cover? Where can people find you? Do you have a YouTube channel, Instagram, Facebook? Where can people find you?
I'm on Facebook. Facebook at Nathan Hyland. Okay. I'm technically on Instagram, but I never post.
Okay.
And then my YouTube channel is ON as in Ontario Game Hawking.
Yeah, because I was trying to find you on YouTube the other day, and I couldn't find you. What is it?
You don't subscribe?
What'd you say? I think I do already. Oh, it's ON Game Hawking.
Yeah. Ontario Game Hawking.
Yeah, no.
It's funny you talk about mentorship.
I'm subscribed to you already. I'm already subscribed to you. Yeah.
Oh,
badass videos though. Beautiful stuff. 18K views, bro. That's what I'm talking about. Nice.
Nathan, I wonder though how many people quit halfway through, because like some of those videos like 40 minutes long.
Yeah,
really, who's sitting through a 40-minute? Like, aside from me, who is sitting through a 40-minute hawking video?
No, we had Kirk Price on. He's a professional YouTuber and hunter. He says the best window is like 25 minutes to like 38 minutes. He says.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, that's what he says.
Yeah,
all right, Nathan.
That's funny. Like, huh?
I said, all right, Nathan, I've been fucking dying to ask these questions.
Go ahead, Aaron. Sorry, bro. Sorry.
Jesus Christ.
Sorry.
Tragically Hip. You familiar with them?
Have heard them. Can't quote any of their songs.
The heck is that?
It's a Canadian band.
Yeah. The band.
Are they a square dancing band?
No, unfortunately.
Is Nathan?
They're not that cool.
We were trying to get Nathan on, and he was very particular about his schedule. And he says, listen, I can't come on this night because I have square dancing this night. I was like, dude, you square dance? The guy's killing ducks, rabbits, squirrels, and square dancing. Oh, who is this guy?
Yeah, what do you square dance?
I was a super popular kid. Concrete square dancing. It's
dude,
rocking social life over here.
Yeah, this guy's killing it. No, that's awesome, dude. What's with this? What's square, like square dancing? Or what do? You go to like Western bars and like square dance with people?
No, it's like it's modern square dancing, not old time square dancing too. Just to be clear.
So you grind a little bit.
Yeah,
you get sexy. You get sexy in the barn.
You drop it low in the modern square dancing.
more or less.
All right.
No, it's fine. Yeah, I started doing it a couple years ago with my mom, and then most of what I do in life, I actually started doing by accident, and then decided to keep doing it because I'm stubborn, and then got better at it because I'm more stubborn. And so square dance is like I started going with my mom because when my dad passed away 2 years ago.
Okay. Sorry about that.
They were planning to go together, so we started so I went with her instead, and there's levels of square dancing, and so I couldn't just stay at the first level. I had to get to the next level.
Right.
And so then there's another level, so I had to then get the following level. So actually, I square dance twice a week. I dance the basic and mainstream on Mondays, and then my fiance B and I dance plus on Wednesdays. So
I was just gonna give you a plug, man. I was just gonna say, dude,
you were into it.
I was just gonna say, this guy, he's a sweetheart, flies birds, square dances, loves his family, but you already got a fiance, so forget it.
Off the market.
Everybody stay away.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Aaron. Ask your question, bro. I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, that was the tragically hip question. That was the most important. But I mean, you said you go to Saskatchewan, so you know who Coulter Wall is?
Nope.
Okay.
Who's
Park
that?
Boys.
I've seen it. Yeah. my older brother's a huge fan.
Okay. All right.
He quotes it constantly.
Okay. These are all very Canadian things, Casey.
Is that the show with the guy with the really thick glasses and he's
Bubbles?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I see memes of him, but I'm assuming it's from that show.
And then I guess, I don't know, Rush or something like that.
Yeah. My older brother's actually a big Rush fan. He went to saw them in concert 4 or 5 years ago. My dad got him tickets for his birthday.
Nice. Okay. So Canada's an interesting place, man. They got you got the population of California in this huge country.
I don't think we're even the population of California. Well, and the even crazier part of that is pretty much all of it is within 100 kilometers of the U.S. border.
Yeah, everybody lives right on the border. So you got
even
all
the funny
that
thing,
land
where I live,
nobody.
If I drive south, it's urban city, suburbia, basically from here to the border, dense population. If I drive north, it's bush, it's cottage country for the next 4 or 5 hours. But then past that, it's just bush. When I drive to Saskatchewan, I literally drive for 20 plus hours just through boreal forest with a house every 45 minutes.
Goshawk territory.
Sounds like Goshawk territory. Sounds like heaven to me.
Yeah.
So I have another question, Canada related. So what's the deal? You have to, if you want to get a falcon license, you have to go to the Queen or something, and she has to knight you. How does that work?
She actually hands him out herself, and you got to kneel, and then drive down to Buckingham.
She goes like this, because it's you have crown land stuff too, right?
Yeah, because we negotiated our separation from. Canadians like to work things out. We're not as violent as you Americans.
I was going to say that's your problem, is that you negotiated. We just said 2% on tea tax. Get the fuck out of here, and we freaking just went to war.
So technically, the leader of Canada is the Governor General, who's for all you Americans who Americans, you should know more about our political system. We know enough about yours.
It's the only one worth knowing. No, just kidding.
Technically, the Queen is the head of the. So Crown land is basically public land.
Okay.
So Crown land is all public. It's owned by the Crown for use by the Queen's subjects, whatever the hell that you want to call that. Yeah. Our public land is called Crown land.
Interesting. Okay. You have Royal Canadian Mountain Police. What is it called?
RCMP.
RCMP. Yeah, they sound pretty badass, to be honest. I'm not gonna lie. They're like a little holster of maple syrup, and then just a 306.
Just maple syrup. Just pepper spray.
Pepper spray. Pepper spray. Just blinds it with maple syrup with their riot control.
My eyes.
My eyes. Oh man, that's great, man. Good stuff. We got to bust on each other, but no, man, you are absolutely killing it up there, and I know people don't like hearing me say this, but I really would like to see you post more, because you got some awesome flights, awesome footage, and your interview with Mounier on the Falconry Chronicles podcast, a wonderful friend of ours, supporter of our show. We're a supporter of his show. We are kindred spirits. You mentioned on the show that sometimes you don't even push record on the camera when your bird just does a mundane flight on a rabbit. And I think that is blasphemous, dude. I think every flight is beautiful. I think you should post every flight. I think you should post more because you get some great stuff up there.
Okay, so Aaron, what do you think? I'm just gonna private message all of my flights. Every single flight I get this year is going straight to Casey. It's gonna flood his inbox.
Go ahead, dude. I'll post them
no,
for
it's actually
you.
funny for a
But tell him
project.
he can't post them anywhere else.
No, post wherever you want. It's funny, like the video stuff. I got into it just because, I mean, again, kind of by accident. And I mean, like, really for me, I just produce the videos I want to see.
Yeah.
So, like, to me, the fact that other people watch them is actually kind of like surprising.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just started kind of recording for the hell of it. But no, I was going through. I've got them all saved on a hard drive, and I've got like that. That's a crazy thing. Like those end of season highlight reels I've got that are 40 minutes long. Like I cut seconds out of that. Like I trimmed that as short as I possibly. Like that's what happens when you hawk for an hour and a half a day, 6 days a week for 160 days of a season.
Yeah,
you end up with a lot of footage.
So split it up, man. Don't put it all in one. Don't cut your show. Don't cut the video short, and don't cut yourself short. Post. Just make a couple 25-minute videos because, dude, I'll watch the crap out of it, bro. Post.
Oh yeah, and that's what I just started doing. I want to try and do more, but I want to try to start doing more. Like what I want to start doing more of is kind of quality over quantity.
Right. Okay.
And so like trying to get good shots and like trying to set things up for certain shots. And so to some degree, I'd rather put like, I think a lot of people don't realize. I mean, like I know you know this, but like how much back end work goes into that.
Yes,
right? It's like you go out, you record a hunt. It doesn't just put itself together and post. Like you gotta go through the video. You gotta delete the stuff that was no good. You gotta cut out the clips you want. Like, I mean, I've got a good setup. It's pretty quick, but like it takes 20, 30 minutes. And at the end of the day, like it's 20, 30 minutes. You have to sit down and do it. And then if you don't do it, and then backs up, and then you've got a week's worth of footage you got to comb through.
Yeah, believe me, I'm married. I have 2 kids, and I walk in the door. I start editing videos. Yeah, you're out hawking, and then now you're not even. She's gonna kill me.
You're on your
phone editing your videos. Yeah.
Yeah, we get back, and he'd be at the kitchen sink, cleaning all the game, and I go and sit down on my phone and be playing. He's like, "What do you play on your phone? Come up and clean rabbits."
Yeah,
no, you can clean those. I gotta get the video done.
Yeah. At least she's cleaning them, man. That's good for you, man. That's awesome. No, you got to eat everything, man. That's what I love about you too, is that you cook and eat everything that you. A lot of what you kill with your birds is you're cooking it and you're eating it. I love that.
Somewhat out of necessity. When I added the small monster lander to the team, I had my first 100 rabbit season. And when you're averaging 100 rabbits a season, and you're only feeding 2 birds, that's way too much hawk food. And so, I just started butchering more. And then my mom's a fantastic cook, so started finding. And I mean, rabbit's so easy to cook too. Like,
it's so
take
good
any chicken recipe, take any chicken recipe, and convert it, and boom, rabbit recipe. Like it's so easy to cook. It's so versatile. And I mean, probably 80% of our protein, like our meat source we get, is from the birds. It's
so cool, man. That's so cool. We should have led with that in the intro because that's so neat, man. And not a lot of people do that. And I love the fact that you do that, man. So it's good. Keep doing it.
I think way more people should eat what they catch. It's great food.
Yeah, man. Well, the duck you got to eat too. I love the duck.
Oh, duck's so good. The thing with duck, it's like I find duck is an occasion meat. Like duck is good, but like maybe once a week or so. Like I'm not having duck. Like rabbit. Like you can do rabbit in tacos. You can do it in spaghetti. You can do it in like
risotto.
Any way you can cook a chicken or cook beef. Like you can. Like I do ground rabbit. You can have rabbit 4 times a week and like cook it different every time.
Yeah.
Versus duck's a little less versatile, but
yeah, duck is good. The problem with United States, I don't know how it is up there, but we have a possession. So we have a bag limit and then we have a possession limit. So if you're catching 40 ducks a season with a goshawk and a deer peregrine in the United States, you can only have like 10. It depends on the state, but like 10 ducks in your freezer at any given time. Otherwise, you're in violation. So like you're not feeding your birds ducks every single day during the hawking season. That's just, it's too heavy, too rich. Depends on how cold it is, whatever. But you got to start eating them, or you got to start giving them to people. Otherwise, you're going to get in trouble if somebody comes and checks them.
Well, so we actually have a possession limit on rabbits. So technically, if it's prepared for human consumption,
doesn't count.
It doesn't count. But how you define prepared for human consumption is a little gray.
Yeah.
So like when I catch I'm not just throwing whole rabbits in the freezer. You know, when I catch them, I skin them, butcher them, take the back straps off, take the legs off, you know, debone the hind legs, run them through a meat grinder.
Oh, you're good then.
Freeze pack and put it in the freezer. So like everything going in the freezer is processed.
Oh, you're good to go then. Yeah, you ain't getting in trouble for that.
And I do the same with the duck. The duck all gets processed and freezer packed.
Man, you're on your game, man. You are on your game. That's why you're on the show. We appreciate it, man. Thank you for coming on.
I appreciate the invite.